After 5 months of racing, from March all the way through here to late August, it is time for the season finale of the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires. We're here at Portland International Raceway. My name is Rob Howden, and standing beside me, the drivers who will roll off from the pole positions today. The first of 3 races for each series, USF2000 and USF Pro 2000. We'll start with the Pabst Racing driver, Jacob Douglas. Pole position, man, how good does it feel to roll off from P1?
Yeah, no, it feels great. Super excited for the race, but massive thanks to Pabst for giving me such a great car. And I was just glad I could put it up front where it belonged.
One of the big things for you is that your Pabst Racing teammates are all around you as well. We know what happens in turn number 1 here at Portland. Have you guys sat down to talk about it at all? Is there some strategy?
Yeah, we actually just had a chat about it then, and we got a bit of a plan, but obviously we're all racing, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, hopefully we come out in the same order we start.
Jacob, it's your second year in the series. You're looking for that first big victory, right? Could come here in Portland. Do you feel the pressure of getting that first win, or are you just trying to get a solid run?
I do a little bit, but yeah, I'm just trying to get a solid run, get 3 good results, try help get the team championship for the team, and just do my best and end on a strong note.
Obviously, that's key too, right? You had so much speed in qualifying. You could have the pole for all 3 races. It doesn't need to happen in race number 1. You could get a race win in race 2, race 3 on Sunday, or particularly maybe all 3. Is that something you've thought about?
Yeah, briefly. At the moment, I'm just focusing on race 1 here today, but yeah, hopefully we're on pole for all 3 races. We get 3 shots at it. No doubt we have a lot of people from New Zealand watching for this driver to get his first big win. 3 victories, though, on the season for Michael D'Orlando, former USF 2000 championship. You won it here last year, so there's good memories here. Can you make it happen today starting from pole?
Yeah, I think it makes it a little easier than last year, saying we actually have the pace. Huge thank you to Team to Turn 3 Motorsport for giving me a great car. It's not quite what we had in COTA, so it feels nice to have a good car underneath me again. But I guess it's a little bit of a throwback to last year. I'm going to be a little nervous in a way going into turn 1 with all the chaos that ensued last year. But I think, it seems like everyone's kind of grown up a little bit and moved up to USF Pro. It seems to be a little bit more respectful than at least it was last year. But there's only one way to tell, right? But yeah, I'm super stoked, really. It's my 4th pole, and we've done the details. May have all 3 this weekend, which would put me the fastest driver in USF Pro Championships, or USF Pro at least. But I'm super stoked. We have the pace to win. If we could just get out front, it should be I don't want to say easy, but it should be a little bit of a weight lifted, and especially put me back in that fight for maybe 2nd or 3rd in the championship.
One of the key things I want to bring you to, I didn't ask Jacob this. Let's talk a little bit about the way the track's going to evolve. IndyCar practice goes out right before you guys. There's been no rubber really down when you guys were out. What do you expect with IndyCar rubber down?
Well, really, it's just more grip. The Firestones really give you a lot of grip, and the Cooper tires react quite well on the rubber they lay down. So, that with a mix of a little bit of understeer, I think we have the car that'll perform when we get into that race later today. And it's going to be a little hotter, especially at 5:30, 88.5 degrees or so. So it'll be a little slick, but we'll push through it. And I think like I said, I think we have a good car to get through it. And if we get through turn 1, it should be smooth sailing from there.
Should be smooth sailing. More rubber down, more grip, as we know. Jacob Douglas in USF 2000, Michael D'Orlando in USF Pro 2000 rolling off from pole. Back-to-back races, so keep watching the show. We'll go victory lane. We'll come right back up for the driver introductions for USF Pro 2000. It is race day here in Portland, folk. After this break, we'll come back with the USF 2000 driver lineup. Portland International Raceway, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting set to go with what will be the first of 6 races in the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires. Drivers in the USF 2000 class are rolling their way out onto pit lane to get things underway and get started here for what will be a 25-lapper. And yes, we have championships up for grabs, as we know. Season finale for this program that started all the way back in March at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. We went through street circuits, an oval, and a number of natural terrain road courses, iconic facilities for certain, with 19 drivers set to go. Actually, 18, I think, are going to make the call. Elliot Cox still working on the damage from an off in practice. We'll see him back for race 2 and 3 Saturday and Sunday. But we are set to dial things in right now. Let's have a look at the grid as we are a few minutes away from firing up the engines to get things underway here for the event here. Looking forward to the really solid Discount Tire Grand Prix of Portland. 18 drivers, as I said, to go. Row number 9, we'll have the young lady Ava Dobson of Franklin, Wisconsin. Her debut here here in the USF 2000 program after making her first start in USF Juniors at Road America. Dobson in the number 9 for Jay Howard Driver Development, starting 18th, alongside Carson Eder out of California for DC Autosport. The driver transitioned from off-road truck racing into Formula cars, has been getting stronger and stronger through the USF Juniors program. His second start here in USF 2000, he'll start in the 17th position. We'll go now to row number 8 on the outside. Gordon Scully for VRD Racing in the number 19. Scully out of Chicago, Illinois. He'll start in that 16th spot alongside Al Morey in the number 7 from Fortville, Indiana. It's been a good season so far for Al Morey, looking to wrap it up in style as a rookie in that number 7 for Jay Howard Driver Development. Moving now to row number 7. Number 33 of Max Taylor will be on the outside from Hoboken, New Jersey. A winner this year in the USF Juniors program. And again, Max Taylor in the 33 for VRD Racing, starting on the outside of row 7. Inside, starting 13th, Maxwell Jameson in the number 12 out of Houston, Texas. Jameson for D-Force Racing, starting 13th. We'll go down to row number 6 on the outside. Lucas Facuri, another one of the drivers coming up from USF Juniors this year. Testing the waters, if you will, here in USF 2000, ahead of what we'll expect to be a full season of USF 2000 racing for the Brazilian. Facuri in the number 11 for D-Force Racing, starting 12th. And on the inside, his teammate at D-Force, the Mexican George Garcia Arce in the number 10, starting in 11th. Into the top 10 now, row number 5, another one of the drivers who started the season off in USF Juniors, moving over to USF 2000 for another full season next year for DC Autosport. Ethan Ho in the number 68 of Los Angeles, California. He'll start in that 10th position on the inside. Second place in points right now, trying to chase down the champion out of Australia, Lockie Hughes in the number 8 for Jay Howard Driver Development's had a great season this year, 4 wins in total, but finds himself now 69 points back with a chance at losing the championship. The grab here is the driver who's going to start up in third. We'll get to him momentarily, really in the driver's seat right now. Hughes starting in the 9th position. Row number 4 on the outside, Sam Corey to Cornelius, North Carolina for VRD Racing in the number 14. Corey rolling in here, 7th place in points as a rookie, starting 8th place today for VRD Racing, alongside his young teammate Nikita Johnson. What an interesting story for the driver out of Gulfport, Florida. A winner last year at USF Juniors, started the season off with a victory as well at St. Petersburg in USF 2000. And just a week ago, less than a week ago, he won at the Circuit of the Americas in his USF Pro 2000 debut. The youngest driver ever to win in USF Pro 2000 at 15 years of age, and the first ever driver to win at all 3 rungs, USF Juniors, USF 2000, and USF Pro 2000. It'll be Nikita Johnson out of Gulfport, as I said, in that number 17, starting in the 7th position. Row 3 on the outside, Matt Clark, last year's USF Juniors champion, a race winner this year on the oval at Indianapolis Raceway Park, and he actually won here last year in his USF 2000 debut. The Canadian for D-Force Racing, starting in 6th, alongside Evagoras Papasavas, winner this year at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course out of Ohio. Papasavas for Jay Howard Driver Development in the number 6, starting 5th. Clark for D-Force Racing, starting in the 6th spot. Row number 2 on the outside, Thomas Schrag out of Ohio, his second start here in USF 2000 for Exclusive Autosport. Had a really strong run at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course and has looked good here as well. Excellent run for the driver, former Team USA. Scholarship winner, a top runner in F1600 competition. Look for him to challenge for a podium, maybe even a race win here today in Portland. He'll start alongside Simon Sykes. I talked about Simon. He is the driver in the championship point hunt right now. 69 points up on Lockie Hughes. Simon Sykes out of Georgia in the number 22 for Pabst Racing, starting in the 3rd spot and looking to try to secure a championship here, really in the driver's seat. As I said, if he finishes in front of Lockie Hughes and Nikita Johnson, he will win the championship and the scholarship to move to USF Pro 2000 in 2024. 18 drivers in the field, 2 on the front row, off pole, as Max Garcia, just 14 years of age, wasn't old enough to start the season back at St. Petersburg. This kid's a young talent for sure. The driver of the number 24 machine at the Coconut Grove, Florida, for Pabst Racing, the 24 Garcia starting on the outside of the front row, and it is an all Pabst Racing 1, 2, 3, and all Pabst Racing front row out of New Zealand. Jacob Douglas in the number 23 going to start on the pole position, looking for that elusive first victory in the JDM Properties machine. Douglas and Garcia will be on the front row. A 112.254 for Douglas, the fast time almost 3/10 clear of Max Garcia. And again, when it comes to Portland, it's all about getting through the opening couple of corners. We'll see if they do that cleanly. The Pabst cars may be able to jet away. We may see a first win for Douglas or Garcia and a first championship here in the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires for Simon Sykes. Sykes, a multi-time SCCA runoffs champion, but this championship here, if he wins it, would be worth over $433,000 to move to USF Pro in 2024. So again, Douglas and Garcia on row 1, Sykes and Schrag on row 2, Papasavos and Clark on row 3, Johnson and Corey on row 4, Hughes and Ho on row 5, Garciarce and Ficuri on row 6, Jameson and Taylor row 7, Maury and Scully row 8, Eder and Dobson row 9. That is the field that gets set to go. And looking forward to a good day. 79 degrees here trackside right now, this Portland International Raceway. 12 turns, 1.964 miles in length. And these drivers are ready to tackle it for 25 laps. Almost time to fire up all 18 of these elite engines on the back of these Tatis race cars. It is about time to get things underway. 6 races on the docket, as I said, for the entire weekend. 2 today, 2 Saturday, and 2 after the IndyCar race on Sunday. It is time to get things underway. Let's head down to pit lane right now. One of our guests from Discount Tire to give the command, Aaron Bray.
On behalf of Discount Tire, drivers, start your engines.
And that's what we wanted to hear. Engines firing up and getting things underway. I had mentioned that Simon Sykes potentially going for a championship here today, as will Miles Rowe afterwards as well. But beside me right now, the driver who already has a championship in USF Juniors. He's going USF 2000 racing next year. Nicholas Giaffoni from D-Force Racing. I like the smile on your face. You won the championship last weekend. How does it feel 5-6 days down the road knowing you're already a title winner?
Well, it takes for sure, Rob. First of all, thank you for inviting me to come here today. It's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, I have a piano off my shoulders right now. I feel super, super light, super great. After a week or so after you clinch the championship, you really get to understand what it means and how big of an accomplishment it is. To be honest, I think I'm still processing it, but it's great to be here in Portland. I wish I was racing, but I'm happy to be in the sidelines with D-Force.
Here's the interesting thing, and you can kind of speak to these drivers. Simon Sykes, Miles Rowe, these next 2 races, you were in the very similar place. You need a good finish in race number 1, and really you only needed to start race number 2 in Texas at Circuit of the Americas. What was the pressure you were feeling for race number 1? Was there a lot, or was it more of, hey, I just need a decent finish here?
Well, it's difficult because at the same time that you are in a comfortable position of being several points up, you're in a position where you cannot be too defensive because you're going to have a target in your back. That's for sure, and people are going to be aggressive with you because they know you need to finish the race. So they know you're going to have to pull out in a dispute. So at the same time, it's a very good feeling to be comfortable in arena as Simon is, and as Miles is, but at the same time, it's very difficult to race because you have to avoid contact at all costs, and you're the only one who is in that situation. So it's really hard. That's
a really good point because otherwise, drivers, of course, you're the champion for a reason. You're hard to pass. But when you're in the middle of a championship battle like you were, knowing that all you have to do is get a good finish, they're going to take advantage of that, right? They understand exactly that. We'll come back to Mr. Giaffoni, the champion of USF Juniors, throughout the broadcast. We're going to come back to him for some insight into what's happening on track. Nicholas doing a great job for D-Force Racing. I wonder if he's getting his hands dirty. No, he's not. You're not working at all. You're just hanging out. I thought he may be working for D-Force Racing. No, he's a VIP here this weekend. But he may push some tires around, but that'll be about it. Field getting set to go. 25 laps, as I said, around this racetrack. We talked about how quick the lap times were. 1:12.2 pole time for Jacob Douglas. So it's more of a short course compared to a Road America or a Circuit of the Americas. These drivers getting set to go, though. 3 more races on the schedule for USF 2000, all here at Portland. Looking forward to some fire and some excitement here in the Pacific Northwest. Beautiful scenery here in Portland, especially when you get these cars, 18 of them strong, lined up, 9 rows of Tatis USF22 race cars, and it's about time to get it going again. Looks like we're underway. Drivers have went outside, and we are green flag racing. Green, green, green. First time down into Festival. Hold your breath, folks. What's it going to look like as they come into the corner? Are they clean? Good so far. A couple of drivers locking up the brakes. That's when you get the issues. One driver coming to the inside. A couple of the Jay Howard cars tucking to the inside. Otherwise, pretty solid coming through. One of the VRD drivers from further back, I believe, having trouble to get through as well. So there may be a penalty. Some more contact. The driver has gone off further back in the field. That might be Ethan Ho in the DC Autosport machine. So a driver's gone off on the exit of turn number 3 through 4 and 5. We're now underway on the opening lap. As we always do, we'll let these guys race for a bunch of corners here. If indeed we're going to go full course yellow, ideally they'll be able to get that car fired back again. The 14, we think maybe it had an issue going through of Sam Corey as well. But there's another driver slowing. One of the D-Force cars is slowing as well as they come onto the back straightaway. So some chaos to get things underway. Full course yellow indeed. Action didn't happen to the first 2 corners, but it happened on the exit of turn number 3. So a little bit of action there. Joining me in the booth here as well, Phil Martelli, one of the voices here of the Grand Prix of Portland. Not surprising, Phil, we see this a lot in this program. The opening corner can always provide some chaos.
But actually, like you said, it was in turn 3 where actually a couple cars slid through at the beginning. And what is the penalty there? If you complete stop or?
Well, that's going to kind of be up to the race director at this point here. I don't want to jump out and say what I think it possibly is. So we'll wait to see what the race director says. It could be a drive-through penalty. We do have one D-Force car coming through into pit lane right now. That'll be up to race control to figure whether or not they're pushed down there or they were taking the escape route, whatever it may be. One thing, we'll give you a quick update. I mentioned that I didn't think Elliot Cox was going to make the call. I had talked to Elliot before. His team doing a great job getting him out onto the racetrack. We saw the number 67, Sarah Fisher-Hartman Racing Development Machine get out there. So shout out to the Drive Planning sponsored crew as they got that car fixed after a massive shunt earlier today in practice. So good to see him get back out there. And indeed, not surprising. We've seen this a lot at Portland. An opening lap incident. Jacob Douglas, Simon Sykes, Evagores Papasavas, Max Garcia, and Matt Clark, the top 5. Drivers out on the opening lap, Sam Corey, Ethan Ho, and George Garcia-Arce. So 3 drivers involved. You see the AMR IndyCar safety crew has got to the number 68 of Ethan Ho. Had a good qualifying effort in the 10th position. Good solid start for Ethan, but not able to capitalize. And again, there you go. Sam Corey starting in 8th, Ethan Ho in 10th, and George Garcia-Arce 11th. Those drivers all kind of together. Back to Nicholas Giaffoni from our USF Juniors champion crowned last weekend. You didn't have a lot of mid-race starts. Normally you were kind of up to the front, but you know when you're starting back there, row 4, row 5, that's when people start getting aggressive, right?
Correct, Rob. Once you start from outside the top 5, you got to be super careful because from 1-2 corners, you can have people starting back from 10th getting over to you. So you have to be really, really cautious, especially in a situation where they are the last race of the weekend, the last start of the weekend. I mean, you got to be cautious. Otherwise, from 5th place until 10th or 15th, it's going to get crazy out there.
Yeah, and just look, maybe we'll be able to get a replay of what happened there coming out of turn number 3, because to me, looking potentially at the contact that happened, being told I don't think we have a good enough angle to tell you what happened there, but just based on the spin angle of Ethan Ho, probably got tapped from behind because the car kind of looped back around and into the gravel. So obviously an issue for him getting hit from behind. That may have come from Garcia-Arce, or we'll see. Regardless, 3 drivers not able to get back around. The 14 of Sam Corey back out onto the racetrack. He was able to limp it back to pit lane. The VRD crew getting that car back underway. So keep an eye out for Sam Corey, who will be 17th and just getting out in time, in fact, as well. He'll have to hustle his way back around. Still work to be done to get the car of Ethan Ho. And it looked like there was a tow truck out there, so likely suspension damage, not able to roll back. So this is going to take a little bit longer. But as I had said earlier in the day, the AMR IndyCar safety crew does such a tremendous job getting these incidents cleaned up. We don't lose many laps at all. Short track like this, 25 laps in total, a 45-minute time limit. I think we cut it down to a 40-minute time limit for this race. So indeed, Corey started 8th, has got good speed. Look to see if he's able to fight his way back up potentially into the top 10. So again, here is the top 10. Douglas with the lead, Sykes in 2nd, Papasavas in 3rd, Max Garcia 4th, and Matt Clark P5. Thomas Schrag ends up in 6th after the opening circuit. Nikita Johnson 7th. Lockie Hughes in 8th. Lucas Facuri in 9th. And Max Taylor rounding out the top 10. So indeed, a little bit of chaos early on. We would have expected it kind of on the entry into turn 1 and 2. That's where we normally see it as drivers work their way in and get on the brakes. Someone inevitably locking it up and driving to the inside, trying to get over aggressive. Everybody else did a great job there. It was on the exit coming out that we saw drivers get together, and a shame to see that happen. It would have been nice to get that opening lap in, because as most of us know, when it does happen, normally get through that opening lap, we're going to go a long way. Once the drivers kind of settle in, they get in the groove, they get into that train, they're not side by side. Normally we can go green to checker. It's the opening couple of laps, and then of course, Nicholas, as you know, restarts bring on cautions. Cautions breed cautions. Anytime you have a restart, drivers can get aggressive. It's an opportunity to overtake. That's when you see another yellow flag.
Rob, you're completely correct. Yellows bring yellows,
yes.
And you got to be really careful because sometimes when you are in the restart, a guy pulls to the side of you and you don't see him. Our mirrors are very good, but sometimes there's a dead spot and you can't see a guy, and that's really, really dangerous because you go into a corner thinking there's no one there, and then you can get rear suspension broken or contact to end your race in like 2 or 3 seconds.
We'll see if it happens this time. They're back on the throttle, and away we go. Coming out of the corner, turn number 12. Jacob Douglas will lead him down into turn number 1. Simon Sykes, again, an opportunity to win a championship. He's going to try to be smart. He just wants to bring it home ahead of Lockie Hughes, Nikita Johnson, and secure this championship. So you know he's going to be clean coming through. They'll work their way up on top of the curbing. Coming out of turn number 2. And then through turn number 3, you saw Papa Savas getting aggressive there, working his way through. Another driver just coming out late here, having lost a lap. I think Garcia Arce maybe repaired him back out. But they're now underway. Sykes, I believe, slotting into the 3rd spot. Great battle a little bit further back right now between Garcia and Clark. That's the scrap there. Clark to the inside. They're side by side coming out of turn number 5 over to 6. Clark trying to finish it off, and I think he is through. Indeed, book it. Matt Clark goes to P4. The Canadian gets by Garcia. So Matt Clark, who comes in here 4th place in points, not able to win the championship here. And the only way he's going to win the championship is if Simon Sykes finishes last in all 3 races. That's not going to happen right now because Sykes looks pretty good here. He's going to get out front here right now. Douglas leads. Sykes runs in 2nd. This would be an ideal finish for the guys here from Pabst Racing. Had Jacob Douglas get that first win, get that monkey off his back, and lock a championship down for Simon Sykes. He's the driver in the best position to win a championship. His teammate Miles Rowe needs a little more help to win in USF Pro 2000. Look at this battle here. That is a good run to the inside. Defensive run down into turn number 1 for Matt Clark. He's going to try to hold off the black and yellow advanced auto parts machine of Max Garcia. Here comes the 7 pushing hard there a little further back. That is Al Morey going to work on Max Taylor. So some good racing here. I want to see if Sam Corey was able to get himself up close enough. Now I think he's quite a ways back. He's trying to catch back up a bit here. Corey just wasn't able to catch back up as they went back to green flag racing so quickly. He was a full lap back. He did get back out on the lead lap, but indeed, as I said, had fallen quite a ways back. He's going to have to be digging to try to work his way forward. There he is right there, I believe, in the 14, yeah. So not that far off the back of the pack there. So Sam Corey trying to get himself back forward. Field setting in, though, and as I had said, once we go back to green flag racing, we often can settle in. We'll get that train going. This is not an easy place to overtake either, so a lot of the times drivers will stretch out a little bit. It doesn't have the big draft as well. Nicholas, we've talked about that. Some of the tracks, we run the shorter tracks, even like a Barber Motorsports Park, you can pull away a little bit. But when we run a track like Road America, it doesn't matter how good you are, even VIR, the guys behind you, you could be 4 or 5 tenths of a second faster, but if they're close enough, they use the long straightaways at VIR and Road America to close right back up. You could be faster, but sometimes you just can't pull away.
Absolutely, Rob. It's a completely different type of racing when you have big drafts. It's not the case here in Portland. You see, if a guy is 2 or 3 tenths, he will be able to put away, especially if there's some fighting behind him. But in tracks, as you said, Road America, VIR, Coda was much better, but still we had a bit of toes over there. It's very difficult. It's very difficult, and it changes the race completely. You've got to be really, really smart, and you can't be totally aggressive, because if you go totally aggressive, the next lap the guy is going to go past you, or at least try. And if you keep fighting too much, people are going to come. And then as we were there in VIR, I mean, in the last lap, P5 was in P2, and it was completely crazy.
That's it.
That happens.
And if you start racing, like you said, and you start running defensive lines to try to not get past everybody, you bring everybody else kind of back into the equation because you're losing so much. When you run a shallow entry line, you lose so much exit speed. So that's kind of the key, is being smart and trying to pull away. And this track here right now, playing well for Jacob Douglas, a half a second lead on his teammate Simon Sykes. And maybe the best thing for Simon Sykes right now is there's a move further back in the pack, is Sam Corey trying to go around the outside of number 9, Ava Dobson. Indeed, Corey able to get through, although I think he may be a full lap back. I had said that he came out in the lead lap. I think he may have lost a lap as he comes across the line. I'll try to update that again, but I believe he has a full lap back, and Garcia Arce back a couple of laps. We have not seen Ethan Ho. Obviously, damage to his car required a hook to get him back to the paddock. The 67 working his way forward. That's Elliot Cox, started at the tail of the field. He's up to 13th, so a good run for Elliot Cox, who I had talked to and said, hey, are we going to see you for this race? And he kind of nodded his head and said, I don't think it's going to happen, but his crew digging in. So shout out to the crew at Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing Development to get that car put back together. It was in pieces at about 9:30 this morning after an incident to get the day underway. They put this thing back together to get him onto the racetrack. Elliott Cox coming in here sitting 13th in points and really is in a championship scrap potentially to get himself up even into the top 10 if he has a pretty good weekend. So the bottom line is he's got to keep digging to try to get that top 10 finish locked and loaded. Douglas leading by 0.6 of a second. And what I was trying to say there early was the fact that for Douglas, having Sykes behind him is absolutely huge because that Sykes will finish second. He doesn't need to attack for the lead. He finishes second. He wins the championship. And again, as I said, he can't reiterate enough the fact that he is racing after a scholarship worth over $433,000 to move to USF Pro 2000 next year. And listen, Pabst Racing looking so good with Miles Rowe. You're talking about Simon Sykes moving into Rowe's seat. What an opportunity to win USF 2000 and to potentially win Pro 2000 as well. Although I know there's going to be lots of challengers for Sykes to move right up into that seat. I think it's going to give him a lot of confidence in 2024. But he still has to get the job done here in Portland, running second. As the battle for third now has Evagoras Papasavas over a second. And have a great fight now between Matt Clark and Max Garcia. But Nikita Johnson, who's doing double duty here this weekend. Not only is Nikita running in the USF 2000 category, coming off that victory at COTA, he's running in USF Pro 2000 as well. Nicholas, what do you think about that? I know that it's not like COTA when it was 105 degrees all weekend long, but it's still 80 degrees right now. How hard is it for a young driver? He's going to jump out of this car after 25 laps and jump into the pro car and do 30. Just talk about how tough that is for Nikita Johnson.
I was impressed, to be honest.
Me too.
Because Nikita's a very young man.
Yeah.
And for him to, the USF 2000 car is a bit heavier than the juniors, but the Indy Pro, the USF Pro 2000 car is really, really heavy.
Yeah.
Compared to what we are racing, it's really heavy. So I wish Nikita all the best of luck because it's going to be a hard race for him.
Agreed. And the thing is, remember, folks, we don't have any power steering.
Exactly.
This is a lot of upper body.
Exactly.
Upper body strength is needed. He's in the middle of a scrap right now as well. Not only is he just cruising around, he is wheel to wheel on the outside of turn number 4 and 5 to go around Max Garcia. Look at this battle right now, side by side. Now he's to the inside. He's got it. Book it. Nikita Johnson through to P5. So not only is he going back to back, he's embroiled in a scrap. It's down the inside again. Look at this over-under, and guess who's coming to play? That is Thomas Schrag for Exclusive Autosport. He's going to come up to be part of the action. Oh, Schrag with a big run coming out of turn number 7 through 8, all the way down the back straightaway. They're going to go side by side. Garcia's going to go to the inside, and Schrag's going to try to come with them. Look at this. Nikita trying to pinch him down, side by side through 9 and 10. Do they even get through? They're still side by side. A little touch, and one driver's gone off. That is Garcia. He gets shoveled off the outside of turn number 10 through 11. He'll have to come through the cutoff and the drag track, and that moves Schrag up a spot. So he likely will have to come to a stop potentially. No, he rolls right back out onto the racetrack. I'm not sure what the ruling is coming through that area, but he is going to go to the tail of the field, side by side through turn number 9. Nicholas, I think something had to give there. Somebody had to give. Neither did. And really the only guy able to get through there, as we said, was Nikita Johnson. And I guess solid move for Garcia not to wreck the car.
No, a smart move because he had nothing to do there. And it's very unusual to see drivers going side by side through those corners. I mean, they were very, very brave. From turn 7 until turn 11, they were side by side. But yeah, they were clean. I think they just ran a bit out of space.
I think there's only so much room through a couple of those corners. I think when you're coming through turn number 10, you want to be on the inside. The outside, just not enough grip. Watching the leaders navigate that part of the racetrack now. And again, a huge run here right now for Jacob Douglas. He is still leading, but Simon Sykes right there with him. I don't see Sykes thinking anything about going by. All you have to do is rewind to last year when Augie Pabst had a chance to beat Cape Motorsports, win a driver's championship with either Miles Rowe or Jace Denmark. Those two drivers getting together countless times over the three-race weekend. Neither of those drivers able to come out with a championship. Out of the fiery Phoenix comes Michael D'Orlando to win for Cape Motorsports this year. I guarantee you Augie is sitting down with his drivers and said, this is how it's going to go. You guys can race a little bit, But remember, we only have one guy in the championship fight. That's Simon. Well, you guys do whatever you can to make sure he wins the championship. I want the Drivers' Championship, and then we'll let Max and Jacob go at it for their first race win. So with Jacob Douglas leading right now, I don't see Simon trying to go by him at all. 10 laps down, still 15 laps remain. They're 1.4 seconds, or 1.1 seconds rather, up on Evagoras Papasavas. So again, there's really no chance or no fight for Simon Sykes, because remember, the guys he's battling right now, Matt Clark running in 4th and Lockie Hughes down in 8th. All he's got to do is finish here. Again, top 5. If he finishes in front of those drivers, he's the champion. So as they run on the racetrack, we have a provisional champion, but we're still 15 laps away, and never say never. You don't know when it's going to be done. I know you probably thought that, Nicholas, when you were at COTA. You knew you could get it done really in race number 2, but man, all it took was some contact in race 1 that would have changed everything.
Yeah, it's true.
It is.
It's true. Sometimes you can be almost putting your hands into the trophy, and then it slips away. We saw it happen last year with Miles Rowe.
We did.
So it's never over until it's really over, and that's the thing Simon Sykes has to think of right now. I mean, he's in a comfortable position because the guy in front is his teammate. He's probably working together with him to try to pull away, and then if he wants to fight for a win, which he doesn't need, it can come down to the last 2 or 3 laps if they have a big enough gap to don't be attacked.
So they're calm and relaxed up front. They're not in this battle that we're watching on the racetrack right now. These guys are absolutely going at it. That is behind Elliot Cox all the way back to Carson Eder. That is Cox, Facuri, Scully, Garcia, who's gone all the way back. He's trying to fight his way back forward. Garcia is in that number 24. He's 14th. Carson Eder in 15th. Those are 4 drivers who were essentially throwing at each other. Haymakers coming down into turn number 1, and it was Garcia who got aggressive coming down the inside. He's, of course, trying to storm his way back forward. Max Garcia coming into the weekend sitting in 9th place in points with an opportunity, though, to work his way up into the top 5. And again, he missed the opening round of the season, wasn't old enough, just turned 14. Garcia now trying to roll up, see if he can't get up behind Elliot Cox and Gordon Scully. But there's an opportunity right now. This is a kid that we're going to watch next year going for the championship. But the guy beside me may have something to say about that as well. Obviously, Max Garcia is going to be a second-year driver in the championship. What do you think, Nicholas? Is it too early to talk about your thoughts on the championship, or you just want to enjoy the USF Juniors title for a while?
Nah, I can't enjoy it without thinking about next year. It's impossible.
Right, I know. It's already. Hey, 2024 starts on Tuesday.
Yeah,
the bottom line for you,
Correct.
probably it started last Tuesday, having already won that championship. You guys are already thinking about it. You're thinking about, number 1, and I tell this to all the kids all the time, you may think you're physically fit for USF 2000. You're not.
No.
You think you're physically fit to make the move to pro? You're probably not, right? The level of fitness you have to drive these cars is so high that you're constantly in the gym, constantly focused on trying to get where you need to be.
That's correct. We are not only trying to go through the ladder and improve the cars that we're driving, we have to improve as drivers as well. Our bodies need to be fitted. I mean, you can see Joseph Newgarden. The guy is huge.
Yeah.
And he drives an Indy car, so imagine how hard it must be for him. So we gotta go up the ladder and boss up physically as well.
Exactly that. I like that. Boss up. You got to take everything to the next level. Not your just driving, but your fitness, your nutrition. If you want to, again, you succeed. And again, the fitness isn't about lap number 1 or lap number 2. It's about lap number 24 and lap number 25. You do all those reps, right? You're on the treadmill. You try to do those last couple of minutes when you want to quit, but you want to go 2 more minutes. That's so you're going to beat the guy on lap 24 and lap 25 when he's getting tired and you're not.
That's so true. Everyone can be fast through 1 or 5 or even 10 laps, but when you're in that point where the guy who's going to win is the guy who wants it most, then it's when your physical and mental toughness is going to make a difference.
I said physical toughness. That's a great addition. Mental toughness as well. And that's going through things in your career and having to fight back from it for sure. Nicholas, you had that this year. You were on a run to try to win this championship. You pushed so hard. You had a great run in Mid-Ohio. Then you made a mistake and got into the back of a car and had a big incident. But you turned around and came back after that. That pushed you mentally, did it not?
Yeah, it did correctly because I made a mistake in Mid-Ohio and I had to live with it for a whole month because I went back to Brazil, life continued, and I couldn't drive until Road America again.
Yeah.
So for a whole month I was thinking about the mistake I made. And once we were back in Road America, it was that time where I knew the track's going to provide a lot of tows, so the races were going to be completely insane, and I had to protect my championship lead. So Road America was completely insane for me and for the team because we were trying to survive, and we were not trying to race. So we had to be very, very tough there.
Surviving straightaways, everybody able to draft up, and there was some great racing, of course. We're so happy with how this USF Juniors program has worked. And again, joining me in the booth here today, Nicholas Giafoni, the young Brazilian driver for D-Force Racing. I talked about the fact that earlier today that Tony Kanaan obviously is now retired. Elio Castroneva's semi-retirement and is, of course, starting to – we have a caution on the racetrack right now. Caution on track, but to finish off my thought, looking for the next run of Brazilians coming up through the ranks. You got Kiko Porto for D-Force Racing. Looks so good. He's going to run an Indy next race. Again, he ran at Indianapolis. He's going to run at Laguna Seca with Cape Motorsports. You're moving up here as well for Brazil into USF2000. Anytime we have the broadcast on, we know that we're going to have Brazilians in the chat room, always cheering for Porto and cheering for Giafoni. But how about this right now? Yellow flag. So that big lead that we had after 14 laps, 0.7 of a second, will go away for Jacob Douglas. Debris on the back straightaway. Not quite sure what it was, but we'll send the AMR IndyCar safety team out to grab that debris and to do a track check. But as they run on the surface, slowing things down, Jacob Douglas with the lead. Simon Sykes, Pabst Racing 1-2. Evagores Papasavas runs in third. Matt Clark in fourth. Nikita Johnson P5. Lockie Hughes has moved his way up to sixth. Seventh, Thomas Schrag. Eighth, Max Taylor. Ninth, Al Mori. And 10th is Maxwell Jamieson. Al Mori, who started back in 15th, gets himself up in now to the 9th spot. 6th position improvement for the Indiana driver for Jay Howard Driver Development. So good job for Al Mori moving forward. Both Sam Corey and George Garciarce able to get back out onto the racetrack. Corey a lap back right now. I thought he was on the lead lap, but he wasn't. And there's a great shot on the camera there on the trackside here on the big screens as the AMR IndyCar safety crew picking up a piece of debris. And you wonder, hey, why couldn't we keep racing? It was just some debris. All it takes is for a driver to come through there, cut a tire on the back straightaway, and then have no tires, no brakes, no control coming into 10, 11, and 12. That was a good call to bring that yellow out.
Yep, correct. Sometimes all it takes is a small piece of metal to screw your entire race. So it's better to have a caution, have the track cleaned, and then we can go safely running again.
That's coming from a driver. He wants that track cleaned up. You hate when you're leading to see the yellow flag, especially when you stretched out a little bit here. But Jacob Douglas will have to do it again. A very strong restart to get things underway last time. Phil, you got to think a guy trying to get that first race win. That's the one big thing right now. Again, Phil Martelli, one of the voices here of the Grand Prix of Portland, joining us here in the booth. Again, for a young driver like Jacob Douglas, the Kiwi from New Zealand, second season, needs that win. You think about the pressure on him right now.
I'm going to go back to young drivers. You're talking about what you need. This young man is young. Listening to his knowledge, watching what he's talking about, you can see why he's a champion. Going to have a great future. Can we ask how old you are? Because you look young, too.
I'm 18 years old.
Wow.
Only 18, right?
Going to have a future, I'll tell you.
That's it.
Very impressive.
Back at it, folks. The green flag flying already at start-finish. Good clean up there. We're underway. One driver coming down to pit lane. Who is that? We had a driver head to pit lane for some reason. I don't know what that was. We'll try to figure who that was coming in. Maybe the number 90 of Thomas Schrag. Why did he come to pit lane? Something wrong with Thomas Schrag into pit lane. I don't know if it's a drive-through penalty or what happened, but Schrag into pit lane in the number 90. He was running strongly inside the top 10. Another driver, Thomas Schrag, has not come rolling through here, so it must be some kind of a mechanical for Thomas Schrag, not just a drive-through penalty. I'm not sure why it would be. He was in the middle of a good fight, so something happened. Thomas Schrag coming to a stop at the exclusive Autosport pit on pit lane. Tough one for the driver out of Ohio, from Bethel, Ohio, in the Beefcake Racing Airport Electronic Service Moffitt-sponsored machine. A former Team USA scholarship driver, very talented pilot. And for Thomas, I'm glad it's a triple header because we got two more opportunities, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, for him to try to get a top 5 result that he most definitely deserves. Shows lots of speed here. Everybody's settling back in. And maybe first and foremost, let's have a look at the lead that we get out of Jacob Douglas trying to get that first win. He was able to jet away nicely, but Simon Sykes trying to get at it. He actually goes back. Papasavas has gone into second. Papasavas able to get by. So Simon Sykes now into third. Still enough, though, to hold on to potentially get the championship. He's got Matt Clark right behind him. And then we've got Nikita Johnson, Lockie Hughes, Max Taylor still in the 7th spot. Al Mori in 8th. Maxwell Jamieson and Max Garcia now back up into the top 10. Garcia fully leveraging the chance for him to get back forward after that yellow flag. He's going to try to see if he can't work his way back forward. 16 laps down, 9 laps remaining in this 25-lap race. And we're right after this going down to Victory Lane. We're done with Victory Lane. I'll throw it essentially right back up to Bobby Corser. We're getting ready to go back at it because USF Pro 2000's going to follow this, folks. Back-to-back races to cap off the day here for the USF Pro Championships. 2 races tomorrow afternoon, and we'll have 2 more races at the after the IndyCar main event on Sunday as well. So if you're trackside, you don't need to jump into the traffic. Feel free, enjoy yourself. And again, we got 2 more races after IndyCar. Simon Sykes, I think, may have been able to go back around Evagoras Papasavas. So we'll see how it plays out here when they come onto the front straightaway once again. Big lead right now for, no, it's still Papasavas. A little further back. The scrap, actually, I believe, is with the 7 of Al Mori going at it with Garcia. That was a different Jay Howard car. So there's your leaders coming through right there. So the lead now is Jacob Douglas. Papasavas goes up into second. Simon Sykes still third. He's got 1.7 seconds on Nikita Johnson. And there's another issue there. I believe that was the number 11, and Lucas Fakuri having trouble coming through the festival curves as well. So Fakuri was trying to put the pressure on Elliot Cox, has to take the cutoff through the corner. Otherwise, 7 laps remaining. Being told, 18 laps down, 7 to go. Jacob Douglas, can he get the first win? I don't know if either of the family members are here this weekend. Not sure whether they made the trek here from New Zealand for the weekend to cap off the season, but Jacob Douglas has been digging hard. A good rookie season last year, finished it off super strong. But it's been kind of an up-and-down season for him this year. A mid-season team change, a little different scenery for young Jacob, and looking to try to capitalize here in Portland. Again, his dad, Craig, mom, Rowena. I'm sure if they're not here, they're watching the broadcast back in New Zealand. So, again, their son digging hard to try to get that first victory. And listen, we know how crucial those first wins are. Big battler across the line. Man, that's some good racing further back. Look at these drivers, potentially 3 wide. Hold your breath coming through. That's Garcia. That's a lockup. That's the 14 of Corey right in there as well. That is Sam Corey in the middle of the scrap as well. And the 14, I believe. Remember, he's a lap back, but still digging it. It's Mori and Garcia going at it. So a lot of action here just outside the top 5. But, Nicholas, let's talk to you about this. You were able to get your first win in the first weekend at Sebring. How crucial was that, you think, to get a win? Quinn Armstrong, your teammate, wins the first race. You win the second race of the season. Joey Brienza wins the third race of the triple header at Sebring. How important was it for you to get that win at Sebring? Because then you turned around, came to Barber, and dominated at Barber. How important was that first win, taking the pressure off of you?
It's crucial.
Yeah.
It's crucial because I knew we had the pace, and coming into the first weekend, you got to start off strong. It's always better to start off strong than have to race running because of what you didn't do in the beginning of the year. So once you are halfway past the season, you want to be in a comfortable position. You don't want to be the guy trailing the big points.
Yeah.
So it was crucial because it set the tone for the next few events, and I'm very happy that we were successful.
You were the guy to beat early, no doubt about that. And I think for a driver like Jacob Douglas, if he's able to capitalize and finish this thing off, obviously it's not the start of the season, but when you can start winning at the end of the season, there's an opportunity then to take that and build that into the offseason, right? The momentum of, I was able to get the job done. I'm good enough to win. I just didn't have really the luck or that I needed. You need to get that win. If he has a strong weekend here, and again, qualifying P1, there's a very good opportunity for him to potentially be P1 in race number 2 and race number 3 as well. Let's have a look at fast laps. A 113 flat. Yeah, they were down to a 112 too. So I don't see anybody improving their times. Again, we talked about how this track was going to change after IndyCar came out. Obviously, we're seeing a lot hotter than it was, 79 degrees. It was like 60, I think 68 or 69 when they qualified later, in the morning. So an opportunity now. We could see Jacob Douglas on the pole for all 3 races. If he could come in here and sweep all 3 races, talk about confidence going into the offseason to be able to have that on your side. You've got the confidence, Nicholas, because you won the championship, but for him to get those wins to really cap off the season, I think it would be big for young Jacob. So we'll see if he's able to get the job done. There is a move here. Look at this. Max Garcia, who was battling with Matt Clark early, gets the yellow. He's back. Matt Clark is now fighting once again with Max Garcia. That's the fight for 6th and 7th. So once again, Garcia able to leverage the yellow after the incident that put him to the tail of the field, and he is back battling with the young Canadian, your reigning USF Juniors champion. Douglas, Papasavas, Sykes, Johnson, Hughes, top 5. Clark 6th, Garcia 7th, Maury 8th, Scully 9th, and Maxwell Jamieson now up into the top 10. There's the fight there as well. Elliot Cox battling it out with Jamieson and Max Taylor. I think that Cox is by Taylor, yeah, indeed. So I'd rather buy Jamieson. So move Elliott Cox now up into 10th. So that's the battle right here coming through the corner now. You're going to see right there is Gordon Scully, and then it's Cox and Jamieson, and I believe Max Taylor and Carson Etter all right there as well. Carson Etter, as I said before, if you watch any of our USF Juniors races, I would call him probably the most improved USF Junior of the season. Kind of stepped up, was outside the top 10, 12th, 13th of the early part of the season, but he dug in, got better and better, and we found him racing for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th in the second half of the season. He's made the move up here. He ran the race at Mid-Ohio in USF 2000, finished all the laps, was able to get all 60 laps of racing in while others had trouble. He was able to get as much time as he could, max laps for him. And that's big, I think, for the young driver like that. Now he's coming out here and really digging it up, trying to see if he can't work his way into the top 10 here. So good run so far for Carson Etter. And I just want him to be able to get all the laps he possibly can. 3 to go. 3 laps remain for Jacob Douglas. Nicholas, what's it take to win over the last 3 laps? That's one of the things I always say. I want drivers to be able to stay in a series till they get a chance to win, right? Because you need to learn how to win races. Over these laps, 3 laps, I know races that I've been leading that I've won, I get kind of super nervous. You start looking around. I miss my mark a little bit here. Again, I'm not a pro driver. I make mistakes. You guys coming up through the ranks, what is he focusing on right now to make sure he gets home clean?
Well, first of all, you don't want to be looking at it in your rear view mirrors.
Okay.
You want to be looking forward, and as you go through the race, as the laps keep pushing, the tires go off. So the car you had in the beginning of the race is completely different than the car you're going to be driving in the end.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to manage the car in the end and still be fast with the car with the degradation coming, so you can finish off strong. That's a really, really important point, because sometimes you can be really fast when the tires are good, but how do you manage the tires when they are bad?
Oh, trouble there for Matt Clark. Matt Clark is overcooked, and he's going to come back out onto the racetrack and get through here, and he's definitely going to come out behind Garcia. So Garcia putting the pressure on Matt Clark. We'll see how far back he's gone as the leader's rolling through. Looking for them coming through here right now and finding a little bit back. They'll be the next drivers coming through here. So, indeed, Matt Clark has gone back a couple of spots. Looked like he lost 3 positions there. So, I want to say that Garcia, Maury, and Scully all able to get through. I'll say this, 2 laps remaining. Evagoras Papasavos was a half a second faster than Jacob Douglas. Here's one thing. Douglas has got to get rolling because Papasavos is coming. So is Simon Sykes. Papasavos already a winner on the season at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, but has not notched win number 2. This is all about Jacob Douglas putting in the magic lap here at the end. They'll work their way onto the front straightaway. A half a second was Papasavos up on Douglas the last lap. White flag will fly this time by. Will the Kiwi get the first win? Of course, down into turn number 1 is the first issue. Can he get through that turn cleanly? If he does, he'll be able to get through good. Look how close Papasavos is now. Maybe 4 car lengths. Simon Sykes right there. There's Nikita Johnson. Remember, Nikita in the 17, out of the 2000 car, right into the Pro 2000 car as well. He's got 30 more laps of racing still to come. 55 laps per day for young Nikita Johnson, just 15 years of age. That kid's going to be plumb tuckered out by Sunday night. I guarantee it. This driver mode, good, looking for that first win. We always are excited when a driver gets the first victory. Right now, Douglas has really got through the first issue, right? Turn number 1. That would be the attack point for Papasavos. Maybe the end of the back straightaway, the next one. Here's the big run. What kind of a tow will Papasavos get? And then here it's just a final run through the 10, 11, 12 complex. Will we have a first-time winner in Portland? He's got to make sure he hits the braking marks. The turn in, such a precarious corner. He's through 11. Now just got to come through turn number 12 cleanly. Papasavos close enough to get the draft. Do we see a drag race to the line? Here he comes. Big run out of the corner. Papasavos trying to make the run. Down the front straightaway. Pabst racing to the wall. And Jacob Douglas is a winner in USF 2000. The Kiwi wins. Look at the face right there for Augie Pabst, because not only did he win with Jacob Douglas, Pabst Racing and Augie Pabst have won their first driver championship. Simon Sykes is unofficially the 2023 USF 2000 presented by Cooper Tires champion. The driver out of Athens, Georgia, has won the championship and a scholarship worth over $433,000. What a day for Pabst Racing. You could see the tears in the eyes of Augie Pabst, the team principal. He has been doing this F2000 racing for a couple of decades. First, third, and sixth for that team. Douglas, Sykes, and Garcia. Max Garcia first, went back to the tail of the field, stormed his way back up to sixth. Simon Sykes only needed to finish in front of Lockie Hughes and Matt Clark to win the championship, and he has done it. Simon Sykes, that championship that eluded him, the chance to go to USF Pro 2000 in 2024 is done and dusted. Expect to see him in a Pabst car next year. And then Jacob Douglas finally breaking the nut, getting the monkey off his back, the Kiwi winning in USF 2000. He could be a driver to sweep here this weekend. Douglas, impressive, put it down when he needed to. Jacob Douglas, now a winner. Simon Sykes, the champion. This cool-down lap, Nicholas, how did you feel in race number 2 when the job was done?
I couldn't believe it, to be honest. They told me, I entered on the radio of it, you better not be messing with me because it takes a second.
I bet.
You've been working so hard for the past year that when it finally happens, it doesn't seem real.
I can just about imagine. And again, drivers coming down. Thank you so much for joining me in the booth.
Thank
I appreciate it, Nicholas. Nicholas Giaffoni, folks, second-generation driver. You're going to hear a lot about this kid for D-Force Racing next year in USF 2000. Watch for him to go for another championship, trying to follow in the footsteps of the Spencer Pigots, the Kyle Kirkwoods, who have stormed their way through. And this is it here, right? We're going to see a couple of celebrations, folks. This one here for Jacob Douglas. Again, the folks back home are going to be watching this one because this kid has been waiting for this win. He was a top 5 runner at the end of last season. He is now a winner in USF 2000. Jacob Douglas getting the job done. Flag-to-flag victory for the young Pabst racing driver. And again, as we said, Evagoras Papasavas in the number 6 for Jay Howard Driver Development. Has he ever come on strong at the end of this season? He's fighting for a chance to potentially work his way up into the top 3 in points as well. It's not done yet for Papasavas. There is your unofficial results all the way back to Elliot Cox, who started dead last and has found his way up into 10th. Good run for Cox. Not just for Elliot Cox, but also for, of course, the team as well that got him back out on the track. And this is what we've talked about with Nicholas Giaffoni. Simon Sykes has applied his training. He's worked so hard over the last couple of years to try to find a full season program. He's never got a chance to run a full season. And now he gets it from Augie Pabst. Jacob Douglas will give him a hug here as well. Here comes Augie. I guarantee the tears are going to be flowing here for the driver, or the team rather, of Economowalk, Wisconsin. There's Simon and Augie right there. First driver championship for Pabst Racing, well deserved. Simon Sykes, of course, too. So many great stories. One for Augie Pabst, and one, of course, for Simon Sykes, who got the opportunity to run for this team. I talked to him before the race here, talked about the fact that Burke Harrison, their engineer, got some kind of a hot rod dialed in. There's Burke right there. They're happy as heck for what they were able to put together for this race car. And obviously the Pabst cars rolled off good, and what a great job there for Simon Sykes. We'll get him over to the scales to get that done. Of course, all the teams here in USF 2000 will file their way back to the paddock. From there, again, there's Jay Howard congratulating the winner as well. But from there, our USF Pro 2000 drivers coming out. Papasavas giving his congrats to Simon Sykes. How big is this for this young driver who told us in the Climb documentary that if he didn't win the championship this year, he was going to have to get another career. Former teammate Yuvan Sundaramurthy coming in there as well. Big for Simon Sykes, no doubt about it. We're going to go to victory lane, not only to crown a new race winner in Jacob Douglas, but also crown a champion in Simon Sykes. So, again, couldn't ask for much more here in terms of the excitement level of this program. And a big shout-out to Simon Sykes. You knew coming in there was an opportunity for him to get it done. He's been so good. Pabst has been so good here at Portland. But to get it done here in race number 1, how much pressure is that off? You know, Nicholas told us for him to be able to get the job done in race number 2. The pressure was off, of course, for him. Lots of congratulations right down now here on the front end of the straightaway. Everybody clapping it for Simon Sykes. He can't believe it. We'll talk to him, of course, in victory lane before it's all said and done. But, wow, big one here. There's the coach, Bob Peroni, in there as well. Again, for those of you tuning in who can't be here with us in Portland, I'm sure everybody happy for Simon Sykes. Again, a young driver who has dug so hard to try to win this championship and get a chance to continue his career. Multi-time SCCA Runoffs National Champion, was part of Team USA, the Team USA Scholarship Program. Jeremy Shaw's fantastic program. and he has done everything he possibly can. I'm sure he would give props to some of the teams he's run with before, like Rice Race Prep, and again does a lot of work in the off season or between races, working with Kart Chaser, which is a program that covers a lot of major league kart racing around the country. And again, there's Xander Clemens right there. In fact, he owns the Kart Chaser program that does live streams karting events. These guys work together. Simon Sykes, a lot of production, directing of those shows. It's time to head down to Victory Lane, folks. We're going to get the drivers over there very soon, and we'll get things underway. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us right now. We're going to get down to Victory Lane and celebrate both the win for Jacob Douglas and the championship for Simon Sykes.
We're like any normal family. We just get shorter wait times because we buy and book online at discounttire.com.
So easy.
Which gives us more time for things like...
Come on, Mom.
Ready? And it's all thanks to Kyle. Thank you. Get 30% shorter average wait time when you buy and book online at discounttire.com.
Let's get you taken care of.
Hey everybody, this is Gerardo Bonilla with Skip Barber and the USF Pro Championships with your driver tips for Portland International Raceway. We all know Portland is the final race of the season. That means the drivers are at their best and the teams are at their best. But the biggest challenge is turn one at the start of the race. Everybody knows that it goes from 7 wide down to 1 or 2 wide. It requires the drivers to have a higher sense of awareness, a much lower tolerance for the risk involved. They've got to leave more space than even seems natural for other tracks because things compress even more than they realize. And in that moment, it's easy to forget those cars are there. So for sure, the biggest challenge are going to be the race starts, leaving just enough space to get through their clean so we can all enjoy the rest of the race.
Your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper and Duramaxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers.
Great season for this young driver, a winner already this year. I think he's going to be a guy fighting for more wins this weekend. Finishing in second for Jay Howard Driver Development, Evagoras Papasavas. Great job for Evagoras to come to second. Austin Pittman will bring the number 2 trophy in for Evagoras. Hop up on top there. Again, he was aggressive, making the moves on the restarts to be able to get his way up in to the second spot. Hop up there with him, man. We'll get a shot there. Thank you, Austin. Again, a lot of great folks from Get Discount Tire, part of our Discount Tire Scholarship Program. Great to have our Discount Tire guests here with us this weekend. Throughout the entire USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires, we love it when we get a first-time winner. This young driver has been digging for 2 years. He finally gets the job done. Out of a round of applause. First-time winner for Pabst Racing, Jacob Douglas! Stay down with me here, Jacob. Well, you did it. You got a race win. Tell me how you feel.
Yeah, I feel great. Massive thanks to everyone at Pabst. Couldn't have done it without them. They gave me an amazing car. Ever since I joined them about 6 months ago, they've been amazing. And I can't thank them enough.
Tell me about that cool-down lap. You come across the line, you win it. You've been trying so hard to get the victory. How did you feel on the cool-down?
Amazing. I was just taking it all in. It was nice to have a lap without a bit of pressure and just think about, the race and how far we've come and stuff.
Family here this weekend, or are they all back in New Zealand?
All back in New Zealand. I think it's actually a good time for them at the moment in the morning, not like 1 a.m. But
exactly. Yeah. What do you want to say to them?
Massive thanks to them. Couldn't have done it without them either. They've been by my side ever since I started, and I just can't thank them enough.
Time to celebrate. Get on top here. Jacob Douglas, folks, his first win. Could be more this weekend for sure. He looks very good. Let's bring that first place trophy and Joe Hall with the first place trophy for Jacob Douglas. A big victory here. Portland will always be the site of his first win here as part of the USF Pro Championships, and a tremendous drive again for him. Excellent job. Again, we have another podium we're going to still be doing here because we got to crown a champion. USF Pro 2000 drivers, as we know, rolling out onto the grid now to get ready to go for their 30-lapper. Nikita Johnson right out of his car in USF 2000 to run the pro class as well. But first and foremost, we got to finish things up here with this podium, and a great job for Jacob Douglas. Not only was he able to lead all the laps, also able to defend on a couple of restarts too. So it was a busy day, and we know how tough the restarts are here at Portland. You got to get that run out of 12. You got to get through festival curves cleanly, and he did a great job getting through there. And again, we had Nicholas Giaffoni up in the booth with us, and he talked about the fact how crucial it was for him to get that first victory of the season at Sebring to kind of set things up for the 2023 title campaign for Jacob. What he's going to do here this weekend will set the tone for the offseason and what he's able to do in 2024. So winning at the start of the season is crucial, but man, winning here in the finale, that does set things right for the offseason and into 2024.
All right, so here we go. First race down, what an amazing race. Congratulations to Jacob Douglas, the winner from Pabst Racing. And they take the championship. We'll have more on that tomorrow and, of course, Sunday as we celebrate throughout the course of the weekend. But that was an incredible 25-lap race. We got a 30-lap race up next with USF Pro 2000. Phil, I'm almost speechless. I'm just so glad this is finally here.
We're glad it's here, Bobby, and pretty clean race, actually, other than the initial start, and I think we had a caution for maybe a little debris on the racetrack, but very impressive, very fast race, and like you said, a first-time winner and crowning a champion. And here's the best part, Bobby. We still got 9 more features to go this weekend.
Yes, we do, and again, we talk about the calamity of turns 1, 2, and 3. 3 is where we saw the first incident, obviously, with that last race, but, man, the drivers are getting on it. I love seeing everybody pack up out of 12, foot on the gas, and they're going. Green flag drops, and they just go screaming by. There's no better place in the world right now than PIR.
Yep, nowhere else we'd rather be.
Oh, I am so excited. And, of course, now, like we said, we've got a 30-lap feature coming up right now. This is USF Pro 2000. Miles Rowe looks like he could possibly take the championship today with this race. We will see what happens. A decent points lead. Anything has happened. And so, we just kind of wait and see what's going on. Obviously, we are in the process of getting ready. Most of the guys are out there right now. We see teams still getting set up, getting ready to go. But, Phil, talk about, again, we're racing at PIR on Friday. It's not even the main events, but we're having a blast.
Yes, we are not just having a blast. Where else would you want to be but right here, not stuck on I-5, right here at the racetrack.
No better place. And again, if you are headed north, so again, if you're on north and headed to I-5, stay here at the track.
Yep.
Let traffic clear out. If you are going to hop over to I-5 and you do want to kill some time, again, we want to make sure you stop by the Holiday Inn Jansen Beach. It's a great hotel. It's the official host hotel. Stop by the Jansen Bar Beach or the Jansen Beach Bar and Grill. Great food, great beverages. You and I got to get over there and do it. We did it our first year. We got to do it again our second year. So maybe tomorrow after we get done, we'll pop up there and just kind of hang out on the patio and enjoy the scenery.
Hang out on the patio. You guys had a good gathering last night at your friend's place.
We did, and it was a lot of fun up there at Kenton Station. Great restaurant. James Little John and the entire group up there does such a great job. Had a blast. All the drivers were very complimentary. We had a lot of fun, and it was just fantastic. So it was great to just enjoy how everything happened yesterday. We had a blast with everybody signing autographs. Just a great time. We, again, appreciate our friends up at Kenton Station. They do such a great job. Just a quick heads up, first 2 rows, we do have it. Leading you to the green will be Michael D'Orlando and then Nikita Johnson, who we did have a chance to hear from earlier. Georgia had a chance to catch up with him on pit lane, and those will be the guys will be able to go through and lead this field to green. So we're getting close. We're about 30 seconds away from throwing it down for the command to start the engines, but, man, you cannot ask for anything better. It's racing at PIR on a Friday. Let's throw a trackside for that famous Words in Motorsports. Let's get this next party kicked off.
Hold on.
Are you coming here to the okay. He's calling the show. Tell your guy to wait for Tammy's on the way.
That's good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Rob Howden back here. Live coverage, of course. We had a little bit of fun down there in Victory Lane with Simon Sykes to cap off his championship in the USF 2000 category. Of course, drivers on the track, or on the pit lane, rather, and getting set to go here in the USF Pro 2000 category. Again, we'll get a chance to have a look at the grid. We are also getting ready to fire things up. Just talking to race control to make sure we're good to go right now. And if race control gives me the go-ahead, we'll be able to fire things up. 3 minutes, I'm being told. 3 minutes before we get things underway. Let's have a look at the grid as they get set to go here for USF Pro 2000, presented by Cooper Tires. Jordan Missy going to start at the tail of the field in the number 19 for Pabst Racing. Row number 9 will have Nicholas Montiero on the outside for TJ Speed and Neotech on the number 32. And on the inside out of Texas, Avery Towns for Exclusive Autosport in the number 95. Row number 8, Frankie Mossman in the number 6, starting from the 16th spot inside Lindsey Brewer in the number 93. She showed great pace here at the event last year. The C4 Smart Energy Machine for Exclusive Autosport will roll off from 15th position. Row number 7, Francesco Pizzi, the Italian for TJ Speed in the 55, starting on the outside in 14th. Inside the Mexican Ricardo Escoto for J. Howard Driver Development, a winner earlier this year at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Escoto on the 4. Row number 6 will have Lucas St. Jean, the Canadian, on the outside for Turn 3 Motorsports in the number 3, while Salvador de Alba in the number 91, the Mexican for Exclusive Autosport, starting 11th. Expect him to charge forward from the inside of row number 6. Row 5, we'll see Jack William Miller from Miller Vinatieri Motorsports in the number 40, start 10th. And on the inside, Jonathan Brown, the Irishman for Turn 3 Motorsports in the number 2, starting in 9th. Row 4, Jace Denmark on the outside. He was one of the drivers in the championship battle here last year in USF 2000. The Scottsdale, Arizona driver will roll off from the 8th position in the number 20. Inside, a great qualifying effort for the rookie here. First time running in the USF Pro 2000 category. 2 years in USF 2000. Danny Dazelski in the number 44 to Belmont, North Carolina, will start in the 7th position. Row number 3 will have Liram Zendelli on the outside for TJ Speed in the number 10. And on the inside, driver looking to try to win a championship, Miles Rowe for Pabst Racing in the number 99 Force Indy Machine, starting in 5th. Row number 2, we'll see Majoy Garg on the outside for D-Force Racing in the 7. His teammate Kiko Porto, still with an outside shot of the championship, rolling off from P3 in the number 12. Front row, though, Nikita Johnson, just 15 years of age, just ran 25 laps in USF 2000. Now we'll go 30 laps here for VRD Racing and USF Pro. But the driver on the pole position who won the championship here last year, Michael D'Orlando for Turn 3 Motorsports, won the USF 2000 title, looking to try to cap the season off with a strong run here today. Time to get things underway, folks. Let's head down to pit lane and fire things up. The command to fire engines coming from the girls of Cooper Tire.
On behalf of Cooper Tires, drivers, start your engines!
And there you go, firing things up. Engines lighting it up here on pit lane. There's Nikita Johnson. There's Kiko Porto. There's Majoy Garg. And the number 99, the black and blue machine, the Force Indy driver is Miles Rowe. Miles Rowe in that, I said, number 99 out of Brooklyn, New York. Rowe trying to become the first African-American to win an open wheel championship. Will it happen here today? Will he win the scholarship to make the move up into Indy next? $664,000 plus up for grabs. The money that would help him move into the Indy Next Series in 2024. Will it be the day here today for Miles Rowe? He comes in with a point lead of 58 markers over Kiko Porto. It's got to be 66 points. That's what the lead needs to be, because that would put him at a tie. The most points you can get in a race is 33, with 2 more set to go. If he's 66 up, even if Kiko Porto were to win both of those races, he would have 3 wins and 5 already on the season for Rowe. So the tiebreaker is race wins, so 66 points. Essentially, Rowe needs to be essentially about 8 points ahead on the racetrack for Kiko Porto. We'll be looking at the points possibilities chart to see how it all plays out. But again, it comes down to Kiko Porto. He's just got to dig. He's got to see if he can't get the race win. That's what the young Brazilian needs right now. If he gets the race win, again, that's all he can do. If Rowe does win and Porto finishes second, it won't be enough to clinch. So again, really the driver they're chasing right now is Michael D'Orlando anyway, so it's not like Michael's not going to be part of the action. Same goes for Nikita Johnson as they run 1-2. But Kiko Porto from third, opportunity for him to potentially step things up. Again, a little delay there. Excited that we were able to get back to racing on time. And again, away we go. D'Orlando and Johnson on row 1. Porto and Garg, row 2. Rowe and Zendelli on row 3. Dazelski and Denmark, row 4. Brown and Miller will be on row number 5. De Alba and St. Jean, row 6. Escoto and Pizzi, row 7. Brewer and Mossman, row 8. Towns and Monteiro, row 9. And Missig on row number 10. International field, as I have said, drivers from Ireland, Canada, Mexico, Germany, Brazil, and Italy as well for Pizzi. And a number of drivers from the United States, as expected. This ladder system program, the one step away from the Indy Next Series and then the NTT IndyCar Series. That's what our job is. Feed drivers into Indy Next, and we have done it. 15 of the 17 starters today all coming through this program, and we're guaranteed to probably bring another half dozen there in 2024. Field set, and indeed we are racing. Green, 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 and hold your hats coming into turn number 1. How about 4, 5 wide? Can they get through clean? No contact there. Around goes one of the drivers. That is one of the, I think that was Nikita Johnson who went around. Not used to seeing the VRD car. There's another guy, Scotto involved as well. A number of drivers involved in an incident. We'll go full course yellow for sure. D'Orlando goes out into the early lead. Everybody else settling back in. And we'll see how it all plays out. I believe Porto in 3rd, Rowe in 5th, full course yellow. And again, hard to pick up that car. I'm not used to seeing the all-carbon fiber machine for the VRD car of Nikita Johnson. That's the driver who went around there. Also, Lindsey Brewer involved in the incident, and I think big damage to the left rear. I wonder if that is, trying to figure out which car that is. Oh, that's one. That is one of the, I believe, potentially one of the TJ Speed cars involved as well. Oh, no, that might be Danny Dzelski. We'll see how it all plays out when they come through here, folks. For sure, that is Lindsey Brewer. She looped it around going into the corner. This will be a replay to see for sure. I saw one of the drivers diving up the inside, and you can see Nikita Johnson was on the outside coming over to the apex. Someone got into the right rear of Nikita and sent him around. At that point, you got to figure just the chain reaction, everybody bunching back up. Field working its way around again. First lap will go into the books under yellow. And that's, listen, this happens here at Portland. We know. There's the number 2, Jonathan Brown with some issues as well. That's the number 2. You can see him coming here, rear wing essentially off that number 2 machine. The team will go to work to see if they can't get that fixed for him. But tough one for Jonathan Brown. He started again up in the 9th position. Number of drivers involved. I wonder whether or not the 44 Dzelski might have been involved as well. Let's see who's coming through right here. That is actually the number 3. So that's St. Jean. So I think maybe Danny Dzelski is going to get involved in that as well. Yeah, so Nikita Johnson, Danny Dzelski, Jonathan Brown. We know that Scotto was involved. Lindsey Brewer as well. And I think that maybe Frankie Mossman and Nicholas Montiero as well involved. So it looks like we may have had 7 drivers involved in the incident to come back around. So a lot of attrition here on the opening lap. Not, of course, up front. The first couple of guys got through clean. Nikita Johnson, who started in 2nd. Hopefully we can get a chance to look at the replay here as they came down into turn number 1 for the first time. I've talked about the fact they were 5 wide. So we will... Team working on the replay right now. We'll get that when we can. But again, it's tough because everybody filing down into that corner. As wide as you are, the driver's on the outside because they're going to be able to turn in a little bit earlier. They're going to break a bit later. They're going to be able to get rolled in and get back on the power. Where the drivers who are on the inside have a more shallow entry. They've got to break a bit earlier. And a lot of the times you'll see that brake lockup. Drivers trying to make a move to the inside. And whoever it was up into the inside got into the right rear of Nikita Johnson as he transitioned from the outside into the apex of turn number 2. So tough one for Nikita. Remember, he just got out of the car after 25 laps, so he's not going to get to do those 30 we thought he was going to be able to do to cap things off. So tough one for Nikita, coming off that victory at Circuit of the Americas last Sunday. So let's have a look at this replay, folks. If you're trackside, have a look at the big screens. If you're at home, we'll give you a replay of the start. They're going to come down here into turn number 1. See how many drivers are all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. You can see coming across the line there, down into the corner. Yeah, that indeed is going to be the car of the 44 of Danny Dzelski. He had move up the inside. You can see the left front damage for Dzelski in the 44. He's just leaving the screen now. Indeed, the Scotto pulls out. Avery Towns through. Danny Dzelski's all the way down to the inside of the racetrack. You look at him. Look at the contact further back, up in the air. Oh, that car is up in the air. I wasn't even looking at a Scotto. But as Nikita Johnson tries to come back across the track and into the corner, Danny Dzelski's coming through as well. He makes contact. So left front to right rear, Dzelski and Johnson. Here it is again. Look back to the inside. You can see Nikita Johnson coming all the way from the outside. Dzelski's got the position. The Johnson's trying to come through. There's a Scotto. Look at how much carnage we had further back as well. Those drivers getting together. Big damage to the left rear of that TJ Speed car as well. That's Nicholas Montiero, I believe, the driver who had the big damage to the left rear. Man. So Montiero, Mossman, Brewer, a Scotto. He's the driver that was up in the air in a big way. Phil, did you see like that? That was pretty crazy to me. They came through. Escoto obviously rolling a lot of speed through. Everybody kind of woeing up, and I think he climbed over whoever was in front of him. Probably a driver on both sides. He climbed up and over. Luckily, that car didn't go all the way over backwards.
Couple of cars up in the air, like you said, Robin. It's not a surprise. Disappointing for the drivers. This is where if you got a championship on the line, your main thought is to get through turn 1 and get out there.
Yeah, listen, Kiko Porto got through and so did Miles Rowe, right? The two primary drivers in the middle of the championship fight were able to get through. Salvador de Alba, who started 11th, he finds himself up now into 7th spot, so there's still an opportunity. He is 88 points back. He is very likely going to lose his opportunity to go for the championship here. But again, think about de Alba. He's trying to see if he can't hold on to 3rd in the championship as well. So still work to be done, but he'll take that 4-position improvement, as will Lucas St. Jean, who started at 12th. He's now up into 8th, so 4-position improvement for him as well. But again, we're going to cruise around under the yellow a little bit here because there was significant damage, and you can see from the contact that very likely a lot of carbon fiber down there in the turn 1, 2, 3 complex, so the AMR IndyCar safety crew will clean that up. They had rolled the ambulance. You wonder whether or not maybe one of the drivers complained of potentially an injury. Hopefully it wasn't Nikita Johnson. Of course, he's got more work to do in the USF 2000 category here this weekend. Nonetheless, he came across the bow from left to right. Danny Dzelski was trying to hold that spot too. There's the car of the 32 of Nicholas Monteiro running the TJ Speed car. He had a single car effort, Neotech, throughout the season, electing not to make the trek out here with the whole car and trailer, just running the number 32 for TJ Speed, the car vacated by Christian Weir before the COTA event. And they've got the full diaper on that, which means I'm thinking we saw the damage on the left rear, very likely gearbox trouble there as well, cracked the gearbox potentially and dropped the gear oil all over the racetrack. So they want to make sure they don't drip that all over. Here comes another one of the turn 3 cars. I'm going to assume that's probably Danny Dzelski's machine. Hard to pick up the number here with the white number plate kind of washing out on us, but very likely the 44 of Dzelski there. I think Jonathan Brown was involved as well, but he was able to limp it around. So that'll be Dzelski's machine with the left front damage after the contact with the right rear of Nikita Johnson. But hey, that's Portland, Bobby. That's what it is, right? This is literally this corner, these festival chicane that has been around for so long. It's just a fight for the apex of turn number 2. Not even the apex of 1, because you can make a lot of different corners. It's who gets to the apex of 2. You've got to give each other room.
You do have to give each other room. And you mentioned Miles Rowe. If you go back and look at the replay, the car that spun backwards at the top of 2, you literally see Miles come right across his front and miss it probably 2 feet. So, again, we battle about a championship, and that's what happens. You have to be lucky as well.
Yeah, lucky to be good to be lucky. Let's throw it back out because we have some time. Maybe the crew can re-rack that replay for us. We don't need to look at the incident for Escoto. We don't need to look at the incident with Nikita and Danny Dzelski. Let's try to pick up that number 99 of Miles Rowe if we can see it again, because, again, that's a really good pickup, Bobby, because depending on who gets through. Here's the shot from the outside of the corner. So here comes across. You see the 17 coming across. He's going to make contact. Look at Rowe's going to very wisely tuck to the inside. There's Escoto in the air. Escoto happening further back. This is Nikita. Look at the veteran move to go all the way around the outside, Bobby. Really stayed on the wheel coming out of the corner and got way around the outside. Porto coming through. Everybody else making evasive maneuvers. And out of the cloud comes the number 99 of Miles Rowe. What a difference a year makes.
Oh, it's so true.
Last year, he was in the air. This year, trying to win a championship, he's the one that gets through the chaos.
You know, it has a little bit of that Scott Dixon-esque dirt cloud from turn 3 many years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
Would go through and end up winning a championship. But great driving, smart driving, just knows, give a guys enough room. And listen, we knew something was going to happen eventually. It just happened. But 5 wide trying to go into 1, you try and pull that anytime else,
exactly.
It's not, you're going to see the exact same thing.
So the field's come into pit lane. They've thrown the red to bring them all the way into pit lane. I think probably re-rack them at this point here, get an opportunity to kind of look at the results, use the timing lines on the track to figure out where they're going to be on the racetrack right now. Michael D'Orlando, we know, will be up front. But again, just trying to see if I've got, a red flag to reorder the field. Kind of what I expected to happen here. So indeed, drivers firing things back up, bringing them back in. We'll get them in the right positions. Get some umbrellas out for these drivers because it is getting warmer here right now. 79 degrees here, ambient temperature. The AMR IndyCar safety crew has done a great job to get this track where it needs to be. You can see them taking their safety vehicles back to their positions where they are located around this racetrack. Perfectly positioned, of course, not surprisingly. A bunch of trucks right there at the Festival of Chicane. Why not? Probably the place you're going to need them early on. But give them a chance to get back to their positions. We'll be able to get right back at it once they've got this field set. And, again, this is where race control comes into play, right? They're able to go through the video, the timing lines. They're going to be able to see where we are when the yellow flag came out. And that's why a lot of the times when an incident will happen on the racetrack, we're going for full course yellow,
absolutely.
But we let them go for another maybe half a lap, right? We could literally let them get down the back straightaway and then throw that yellow. It allows them to kind of settle in. They know that they have to race pretty hard after a potential yellow could come out, so it just gives us time to kind of figure things out.
It's smart by race control to do that because, again, a little bit of extra helps them, helps everybody just kind of calm down. Because you immediately throw a yellow, say you immediately throw it as stuff is still happening, field still bunches up, and you still have a lot more damage that could go.
Indeed.
So it's smart.
Yeah, let them go. And we do that for, again, about a half a lap. As we saw, they were able to work their way through 6 and 7 and kind of get onto the back straightaway before the yellow flag came out. You need to give them just an opportunity to set things back up. I don't have any access to that, so we'll see when they roll back out how it all plays out here.
Right, looks like we're just resetting vehicles at this point. Here comes one more AMR safety truck. We know we have the little command vehicle still down there at the top of 2. They'll eventually move back behind the wall. But
So, Bobby, I'm looking down here right now from where we are. Hard to see from where we are, but Michael D'Orlando, the leader. Kiko Porto into second. As they came across the track, Liram Zandelli, but he had worked his way up to second. They're moving Liram back a couple of spots. It looks to me like Miles Rowe is going to go into third, and then potentially, I think, Bajoy Garg up into the 4th spot, then Zandelli in 5th. Again, they're doing what they can to get these cars back into position here now.
Right, and I think probably that has to do with guys trying to cut the corner to avoid calamity.
Indeed that.
In 1 and 2.
That's it. And if you did that, again, you're not going to be able to hold that spot.
Right.
Tough one for a bunch of drivers who were looking for good runs for sure. Again, you talk about Danny Dzelski here in his opening run in USF Pro 2000. The driver out of North Carolina started 7th, a great qualifying run for Turn 3 Motorsport. Hopefully they'll be able to get that car dialed back in for him. Didn't look like a lot of damage for Dzelski, of course, back again tomorrow afternoon. So lots of time to fix these cars up here this evening and then through the morning tomorrow. Again, for those of you who are here, tomorrow on Saturday, we'll be rolling out green flag for USF 2000 at 2:15, and then for the USF Pro 2000 drivers at about 3:10. So let's just say early afternoon, early evening kind of a thing for those drivers. 2 more races tomorrow afternoon, Bobby, then 2 more to cap things off after the Grand Prix of Portland IndyCar race on Sunday. So as we keep telling everybody, you don't need to jump into traffic. Don't jump into the car. Take 2 hours to get off the property. You know how the traffic's going to be getting out of here. Grab another cold beer.
Absolutely.
Find a better seat because you can move around. Everybody else is bailed. People are going to bail out. So find a good place to be, and you're going to be good to go for a couple of races. Our champions will likely be crowned. And here we come. D'Orlando, Porto, Rowe 1, 2, 3. Garg in 4th spot. Zandelli in 5th. 6th is Jace Denmark. 7th is Jack William Miller. 8th spot, I believe, is going to be Salvador de Alba. 9th will be Lucas St. Jean. 10th, Francesco Pizzi. 11th, Avery Towns. 12th is Jordan Missig. And I think that's going to be it. Because, we lost 7 drivers. Nikita Johnson, Daniel Dzelski, Jonathan Brown, Ricardo Scotto, Lindsey Brewer, Frankie Mossman, and Nicholas Montiero. Cross my fingers and hope we'll be able to get through the opening corner cleanly. That didn't work.
Nope.
So we'll try something different tomorrow. But again, we see it all the time, right? The instance we had last year that so severely affected the championship battle in USF 2000, drivers getting into the corner, braking early, or diving into the corner and expecting to make the corner. I don't know that was Dzelski's fault because it seemed to me like he had woed it up. Nikita, of course, coming way across the bow. It doesn't take much to make that left front to right rear contact. Maybe a little more wheel in it for Dzelski. But again, remember, he's going into the corner. He's not looking to his left.
No.
He's looking through the corner, through turn 1, all the way to turn 2. So he has no idea Nikita's coming across. That's almost a racing incident. I'll sit down with race control afterwards. I'm really interested in seeing how they look at that. Was it a racing incident? Was Nikita coming across too aggressively? He made a great move. He had the inside line.
He had the inside line.
So does Danny have to check up a little more, knowing where he is? We know that the number 99 of Miles Rowe did that and he was able to get around the corner. But I think, again, through turn 1, it's the battle for the apex of 2. That's what it comes down to.
It really is. And, again, I know that we're getting ready to go back to green here in just a second, but you're now going to pack these cars back up. They're going to make another attempt of it. The nice thing is they're not necessarily side-by-side on the restart, so let's see if they can get through here cleanly.
We have a 50-minute window to get 30 laps in. We've got 5 laps down when they come across the line. We're back at it, folks. Green flag flying. And Michael D'Orlando will lead him down into turn number 1, but a big move to the bottom of the racetrack for Kiko Porto. Porto to the bottom. Can he make it stick into turn number 1? He does not, across the bow, and D'Orlando's got to check up. He's going to have to let everybody come through. Liram Zendelli does it as well. Both those drivers cutting the track, not going through, so they are going to have to be smart and let these guys through. If you don't, you're potentially going to set yourself up for a drive-through penalty. D'Orlando, your leader, coming out of turn number 3 over to 4 and 5. But you know he's going to have to give it up on the back straightaway because he cut the course coming through. Kiko Porter was down to the inside. We'll see how this plays out because, again, when you're a driver, you don't want to bring race control in. Do the best you can to potentially not have race control come in with the heavy fist.
Yeah, and that comment will come from their team saying, hey, you got to give up the position 1, 2, or 3 spots. So we'll see how severe it is once it comes down.
And I believe Liram Zendelli was the other driver that cut the course as well. He may do it on the front straightaway, get through the opening lap, wait for the call to come in because, of course, the drivers are hardcore through the first busy part of this racetrack. When they get back on the straightaway, the team can radio in, say, listen, this is what we're getting here from race control. We'll see whether or not he gives it up. He's going to have a couple of laps to do it. So, indeed, we expect radio control to happen. Let me hop over to my text here. I'm sure somebody's going to give me an update. At least I hope somebody gives me an update. Field set coming down into the corner. There's D'Orlando with the lead. Kiko Porter runs in second. Miles Rowe in third. Fourth, Zendelli. I think Zendelli may have given the spot up already. Not quite sure. Have not yet got any update from anybody here from race control in terms of what's happening here. But again, Field is settling himself into the fight now. We'll have a look at the full field rundown when they come back around. Look at this scrap a little further back. That's a good one. That's Bajoy Garg and Liram Zendelli going at it. That's a little bit further back as well. We got ourselves a good scrap in this category. Again, for Miles Rowe, just like we saw to Simon Sykes, he can be smart. He'd love to clinch it here, but you don't need to. Bring home a bunch of good points, and you're eventually going to just start the race to win the championship kind of thing. After this race, when he goes into race number 3, all he needs is to hold on to a 33-point lead, right, to the final race. Very lucky, very able to have that done. Zendelli's actually fallen to the tail of the field in the number 10. There could be an issue with Liram Zendelli. I don't know that they would have given him a drive-through, but he looks like Zendelli's coming to pit lane. I don't know if there's damage. He did cut the track, but you'd think you'd give him more time. So I don't know what happened to Liram Zendelli, that TJ Speed driver coming into pit lane. Let's have a look at the group. D'Orlando leads, Porto in second, Miles Rowe third, Bajoy Garg fourth, Jace Denmark in fifth, Jack William Miller in sixth spot. Seventh is Lucas St. John. Eighth is Zendelli, I believe. No, he's coming to pit lane. Live timing messed up a little bit here. Not quite sure what the call is from race control. So, okay, here's what we're seeing. So the shortcut penalty for Michael D'Orlando. He is slowing down on the racetrack here. Is he going to get a full drive-through, or is he going to just go to the tail of the field here? So both drivers, D'Orlando and Zendelli, shortcut the course. D'Orlando actually drops a wheel coming out of turn number 5, or 6, rather. Oh, 7. That's 7, right? 7? So, wow, that's interesting. With the shortcut, I'm surprised they weren't allowed to just give up the spots. But again, maybe that's the call. If you cut the course like that, you're going to go and do a drive-through. So you got to stay on the racetrack. Give it up and stay on the racetrack. He'll go to the tail of the field. We'll see if he comes into the pit lane. At this point, he has not. He has dropped to the tail of the field for D'Orlando. I've been told penalty or a shortcut for Michael D'Orlando. Same for Liram Zendelli. So, man, that shakes things up in a big way for sure. Look at the scrap we have going on deeper back in the pack, too, just at the tail end of the top 10 here. This is about Kiko Porto into the lead, Miles Rowe in second. So as they run on the racetrack with as many laps, Kiko Porto could come away with not only the win, but the most laps led. That would be 31 points. He would gain 6 on a road to put it down to 52 points. So Kiko Porto trying to take hold of at least his own destiny. Miles Rowe is going to he would cruise home to second right now. Put himself in the right spot. But again, I don't know that Miles Rowe knows the term cruise. If there's one thing about Miles Rowe when it comes to going for a move, this is the guy you're never going to have to push to make a move. Look at this fight. Oh, contact there between Salvador De Alba. And he and Jack William Miller, and one driver's going to come off the racetrack. That might be Jack William Miller in the 40. Indeed, he is pulled off the side of the racetrack after a little side-by-side contact between he and De Alba coming into the braking zone of turn number 9. Shaking and baking in a big way. Jordan Missig going after Francesco Pizzi as well. Let's have a look at the replay. Is Pizzi able to get to the inside there of Jordan Missig? We'll see a replay of them coming down the back straightaway here. Here's De Alba. There is the 40. De Alba to the right, Miller to the left. They're coming down into the braking zone of turn number 9. It looks like that De Alba may think he's already clear and kind of comes across except for the corner a little bit. And obviously not quite clear enough. Just I'm going to say the trailing edge of the right rear to the front edge of the left front for Miller. So just a little bit of contact, potentially though bending a suspension piece for Jack William Miller. Man, Bobby, action to cap off the day.
Absolutely. And again, we're waiting for this to happen. Again, not necessarily a normal passing point, but guys are going side by side down that back stretch. That could have been a lot worse. They would have hooked a back tire to a front tire. Both guys would have lost control gone through there, and that could have been a whole lot worse than it was.
Indeed. De Alba had the inside for the turn number 9 coming at the end of the back straightaway. This is first and second. This is actually second and first of the championship as well. Miles Rowe running in second. And here's the thing for Miles Rowe. He doesn't want Kiko Porto to lead. Obviously, he doesn't want him to get max points. If he beats him, he wins the race. He wins the championship, right? If Porto wins, or rather Rowe wins, I think it's going to be maybe not, if Kiko Porto finishes second, it won't be quite enough. If I'm Miles Rowe, I run second right now because you're going to have a massive lead still going into 2 more races, although he would love, of course, to stretch it out. This will be an interesting thought. And again, I've had this conversation before, Bobby, and it's interesting. When I say something, when I say I'm going to be, I would lean towards strategy. Most of the racers I talk to say, I wouldn't do that. The racer wants, intrinsically in the fire of that racer, they want to go for the race win. Even though maybe it may be a good idea to take second, they just have that thing where I want to beat him. I want to get by him. I want to make sure, make it even closer for me winning the championship.
And Miles has a run on him going down the front straight. We'll see.
Hold on. The gap's still about 5 or 6 car lengths coming into turn number 1, but Rowe pushing hard. Last time by, both drivers turning 110.4s. This time 110.2s. You can see how close they are there. Bajoy Garg, what a great run for Bajoy, coming off a big win in IMSA competition in his P3 car. Obviously, the momentum there helping Bajoy. And D-Force, listen, they've been good at the last 2 races. Bobby, they were really the team to beat for a majority of the weekend at the Circuit of the Americas. As it got super, super hot, they backed off a little bit. It was a cooler weather on the Sunday morning. They were good in the heat. In the cooler weather, Nikita Johnson and VRD kind of came to the forefront. Kiko Porto and Matt Clark still finished on the podium in second and third, but they were really good at COTA, and they've just kept it up. They're running second and first and third here with Porto and Garg. So all told, I'm sure they're very happy with the way things are playing out. Although they do want to win this championship. Kiko Porto's won USF 2000 before. A couple years ago, won the title. Still not out of the question for him to win it here, but he's definitely going to have to hold back the Lions. He's going to have to win all 3 races, I think, with the way Miles Rowe is running right now.
Yeah, and when you mention colder temperatures, you're talking like mid-90s, right? Not the 116.
I literally want to say cooler. I think it was like 85 or 90 degrees. That was the cooler temperatures of the 111 degrees it was come the high heat of Sunday. Yeah, isn't that crazy to say that? I think it was high 80s was the cooler temperatures on the weekend.
No, but you're right though. They've run really well. They're doing great first and third, as you said. But Miles Rowe's not going to let him just get away. You can cruise to second, and that's a great strategy play, as you said. Maintain the points lead. Don't worry about it. Extend it out because eventually, by the time the Sunday rolls around, you're going to have a championship in hand. You just got to be smart about it.
Bobby, here's the key. The pressure is not on Miles Rowe.
Right.
The pressure is on Kiko Porto.
Absolutely.
So if Miles stays close enough to keep the pressure on, keep pushing, does he force Kiko into a mistake, right? And I guarantee you they're on the radio right now saying, okay, Miles, P2 is good. Just bring it home. And Miles is like, I want to win. And although, like I said, with Kiko, even if Kiko finishes second, he can't lock it in today, right? So even if you throw it at it and try to get through, you can't lock it down, right? And it indeed would kind of open up, if they wreck, could potentially open up for Salvador de Alba to get back into the championship discussion as well. So again, the fight, the yin and the yang inside the racer, I can cruise to second and get myself into position to win the championship tomorrow, or I can go for the race win right now to all but lock it down by starting race number 2. So as they run on the racetrack, Kiko Porto doing a great job. He leads here. We're only not even halfway through as well. A 30-lap race on this 1.9-mile racetrack. Kiko Porto, Miles Rowe, Bajoy Garg, Jace Denmark, and Lucas St. Jean across the line, top 5 at the end of lap number 13. Salvador de Alba in 6th, Francesco Pizzi 7th, Jordan Missig in 8th, Michael D'Orlando still on the lead lap in 9th. He fell to the tail of the field. That was the way to do it. He currently runs in 9th spot. He's trying to now reel in Jordan Missig if possible. Avery Towns in the 10th position right now. Jack William Miller retired after the contact with Salvador de Alba. He's gone to 11th. Liram Zendelli wrapped things up. He came off the track and actually stopped. He got a drive-through, but with D'Orlando falling to the tail of the field, you figured that would have been the same penalty for Zendelli. I wonder if indeed there was a mechanical for Liram Zendelli as he's pulled off the racetrack, as we know. Jonathan Brown off after 1 lap as well. He had the damage, but he was able to complete a lap. Nikita Johnson, Danny Dzelski, Ricardo Scotto, Lindsey Brewer, Frankie Mossman, and Nicholas Monteiro all involved in that huge wreck in the opening corner here to start this 30-lap race.
That second car that you were talking about that had cut through the corner, there was significant brake smoke when he was going through this. So I don't know if he missed a section, had an issue with the car, but he was definitely, there was an issue at that moment.
Liram Zendelli in that number 10 actually just leaving pit lane in front of us. We're essentially right here just a little bit past start-finish line in the tower here at Portland. So although we're keeping an eye on the broadcast and the video here to call the coverage, being able to see him leave pit lane. We will take the opportunity to say hello to all of those of you watching on the coverage. Bom dia to all the Brazilians watching. Of course, I want to throw out a little Portuguese. I've made the decision, Bobby, we have a lot of Brazilian racers. And on the chat, the Brazilians are very active. Let's put it that way. That's what you said. So in the offseason, I figure I've got about 6 months. I'm going to try to knock out some Portuguese. I'm going to see what I can do because I want to head down to Brazil potentially to do maybe a karting event down there. So I think I can learn some Portuguese. That's my off-season program.
If I have to learn calculus for school that I went back to 2 years ago, you can learn Portuguese, my brother, at your advanced
I'm going to work on it. I'm 100%. We have a lot of Brazilian drivers in this program, as we know. So, again, that's my pledge for next year, to learn a little bit more than just hello or good day.
Okay.
Essentially what I have.
I'm going to hold you to that.
When I see you here again next year, Bobby, I'll rock some Portuguese for you.
I'll send you a text around Christmas or New Year's and just be like, porque, not that's Spanish, of course. But
Rosetta Stone, here I come.
I'm right there with you. I have to relearn Spanish in the next 6 months, so I'm right there with you.
Get at it. So, indeed, Kiko Porto, Brazilian, out front right now by 1.2 seconds from Miles Rowe. So, Kiko doing everything he can do. And, again, that's all you can ask from a driver. When you come into a championship like this, a triple header, where Miles Rowe rolls in here with a 58-point lead, there's a certain thing he can get done in each race to potentially lock this thing down. All Kiko can do is come in and try to win every race. So right now, Kiko Porto is the leader, as we know. Fast lap, we got 109.7 for Kiko, 109.9 for Rowe, 109.9 as well for Francesco Pizzi. So Kiko with the fast lap of the race as well. This could be 32 points if he finishes it off and holds on to the fast lap. So 32 points, and for Miles Rowe finishing in the second spot, that's 25 points. That would be a 7-point swing. It would be 51-point lead coming into race number 2. But again, with 33 points left, it's going to be a really good opportunity for Rowe to get it done. Again, such a great point lead. And indeed, Bobby, we come down to a triple header, right? And you're thinking, okay, what's he got to do? But he did all the work early. When you come into a position like this where you're trying to win a championship with a 58-point lead coming into a triple header, you look at the body of work, right? It's the fact that the first 4 races of the year at St. Petersburg and Sebring, he has 3 wins and a 3rd-place finish. He's on the podium in the first 4 races. Little blemish, 10th at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and then he rolls out 1, 2, 3, 4 more straight top 5 finishes, another 2nd-place finish, and then an 11th at Mid-Ohio. Turns it back with another win at Mid-Ohio, and then a win at Toronto, and then kind of journeyman 4th and 6th-place finishes just taking care of the race car at the Circuit of the Americas. This has been a textbook way to win. You think about this. Again, only one finish outside the top 10. That blemish of 10th at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, his only finish outside the top 10 came in race number 1 at Mid-Ohio, 11th.
Consistency across the board.
Right.
It's how you saw Will Power win last year's NTT IndyCar Series. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't sexy. He had a couple wins, but it was consistency. I believe he was one of 2 drivers, and Scott Dixon being the other one, that completed every single lap of the season. So just be consistent, and you will find yourself at the top.
That's it. It's very crucial. You just limit the big mistakes, I think, is one of the keys, and that's what Miles Rowe has done. And again, that's the maturation of Miles Rowe. Again, he's looking to become the first African-American to win an open wheel Formula Car championship. But you look back to what he was like, his first year with Force Indy, a lot of incidents. He was qualifying mid-pack. We'd see him in a lot of contact, a lot of wrecks mid-pack. Moved to Pabst Racing with Force Indy last year and wrecked in the second race, or the first race. Huge wreck, destroys the car, has to come back, and then win again the next day. But the mistakes were there, right? And then even in the finale, made mistakes. He and his teammate Jace Denmark getting together. It's been a different Miles Rowe in 2023. And when you have those mistakes and you can learn from them, that's what makes you such a better driver. His maturity level has grown. We always know he's got the aggression, but he's tempered that with maturity and smarts right now. And that's why you're seeing him essentially cruise to a championship here in Portland.
Not to go back to the willpower one too many times.
As many times as you like.
But exactly what he did last year, where he said coming in, he goes, I am a new man. I'm going to focus my aggression instead of being mad about stuff I can't control. I'm going to let that go and focus on what I can control, and that's me behind the wheel. And look what happens. He goes and wins the championship.
And the really interesting thing, Bobby, when you used Will Power as the comparison for what we've seen on a Miles Rowe, it was Will Power that essentially discovered Miles Rowe down at Trackhouse Raceway, formerly GoPro Motorplex down in Mooresville, North Carolina, when the whole Roger Penske's drive for equality and change kind of came together to look for a young African-American driver to be part of this Force Indy program. Of course, Ernie Francis, we know in the Indy Next Series, but it was a couple of years ago where they started their own team in USF 2000, and it was Will Power that said, I think Miles Rowe is this kid. I see him out of this track in Mooresville, and he's racing karts, and he's got a lot of talent. He could be the guy. They ended up setting up a private test at Cape Motorsports on the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's their guy. Again, their own car, which is tough to do, single car effort, and they struggled the first year, moved to Pabst Racing, and then it's been a march forward for Miles Rowe. So indeed, Kiko Porto leading the way right now, but this again is part of the storyline we're seeing for the young driver from Brooklyn, New York, with an opportunity to potentially win a championship here probably tomorrow morning. I don't think it's going to happen today, but tomorrow afternoon. No morning races for us, but very likely he'll be able to lock it down in race number 2, race 3 for certain. So, again, first and second, cruising around the racetrack right now. As we said, Kiko Porto leading the way, potentially cutting 7 points out of the championship lead for Miles Rowe. But, again, 51 points. All it takes is a DNF for Rowe and another win for Porto. It's a 30-point swing. And that, that 51-point lead goes down to 21. Yikes.
Think it get real interesting real soon.
Super interesting, yeah.
And again, Miles Rowe was lucky. He almost was taken out in the first lap incident. A car comes right across. He was able to steer around it. So, again, it's staying calm, staying in the moment, and making sure that you are able to finish the race. Because you finish the race, everything else is left on the track.
Yeah, get the best, log the points you can in all 3 races. But again, what a difference a year makes. You think about the fact that he was right in the middle of the chaos, right in the middle of the incidents in all the races last year trying to win a championship in USF 2000. Pabst Racing already has their championship now with Simon Sykes. Fantastic job for Simon and Augie Pabst there. They're trying to do another one here to really sweep it and show themselves as the dominant player here in 2023. These are the drivers coming down here now. Bajoy Garg, great drive right now, P3. 4th right now, Jace Denmark. 5th, Lucas St. Jean, the young rookie who started with USF 2000 this year, had a pretty nasty shunt at the very end of the last race at Sebring, sat out for a couple of races, came back in USF Pro 2000 with turn 3, and really has done a great job. I thought maybe it was a big jump for Luca, the Canadian, to jump here into Pro, but running with Peter Dempsey's team, Brian Hallahan, the general manager there, really kind of working things through. He's been very steady, and I think he's done a great job. Luca right there in that number 3, but he's being challenged by Salvador de Alba right there with him. We could have a scrap here for P5. Salvador de Alba trying to go to work here, see if he can't close up. They're coming through there. There is St. Jean. There is De Alba. And right behind them as well is Francesco Pizzi, the Italian. A little bit further back, you see the fight between Jordan Missig and Michael D'Orlando as well.
Finally, they started to reel him in.
A little bit here and there, right? You can see that De Alba almost on the gearbox there, working his way. They'll get themselves down that back straightaway again as they come through these curves to lead onto the back chute. Through turn number 8, then to turn number 9. De Alba made a good move on Jack William Miller. Will be close enough? Not quite. Pizzi's actually closed up to De Alba as well. You can see Pizzi right there in that white TJ Speed machine. There's Missig. There's D'Orlando. D'Orlando qualified on the pole, but the best he can run right now is 9th, 110.2, but 4/10 off the speed of the front-running drivers. Miles Rowe about a 10th quicker last time by. 22 laps in, 8 to go. 8 laps remaining for race number 1 of a triple header for the USF Pro 2000 category. Again, this is the VP Racing Fuels Grand Prix of Portland, all part of the Grand Prix of Portland here, the season finale for our program, the penultimate event on the schedule for the NTT IndyCar Series. We'll see whether or not they crown a champion on Sunday as well. We're definitely doing it. Our final, we, of course, have our championship celebration on Monday evening. Looking forward to celebrating with the top 3 drivers in USF Juniors, USF 2000, USF Pro 2000. I had a chance to have our newly crowned USF 2000 champion, Nicholas Giaffoni, joining me here as our analyst. Did a great job as our driver analyst for the USF 2000 race. This is a great scrap right now for 5th, 6th, and 7th. St. Jean, De Alba, and you can see Pizzi trying to close up. The problem with this racetrack is so tough. You want to make the move down into 1, but you got to get through turn 11 and 12, and you get the understeer, you get the aero wash coming through. It's hard to get back on the power when you've lost that air off the front wing. And it's hard to take another line because you got to hug the inside.
You just got to make sure. I love this angle here, and they show the other camera angle from the top of 2. These guys are throwing their cars in there. They get a little air, and all of a sudden the tires grab, brings the car back, losing a little bit of speed, but you're right. Through the complex, 4, 5, 6 right now, then 7, 8. They lead down that backstretch. Mark Jane said it really good on the IndyCar radio broadcast. It's so picturesque back there. You don't have time to take in the beauty, and then all of a sudden you realize that you have this tight complex of left, right, and then you're right back on the gas coming down the front stretch.
That's it, right? And again, just like IndyCar deals with the aero wash, because these cars, of course, a lot more aero dependent, way more this dual element rear wing, a lot more aero dependent, a lot more aerodynamic downforce than we have in the USF 2000 car. More mechanical grip in the USF 2000 car. I'll tell you this though, Salvador De Alba dialing things in. He wants to make that move. He's trying to get close. All it's going to take is Lucas St. John to make a little bit of a mistake. Big run. Pizzi's coming in here too. He's getting closer. They'll work their way down the straightaway, trying to get that run. Potentially going to be a deep braking maneuver here to get the job done for De Alba. He's not quite there. Again, one of the very unique storylines, Bobby, a driver we have here. We can probably even come to Phil on this one because I know he does a lot of oval racing as well. One of the great things about Salvador De Alba is not only does he run, Phil, in our program here in the USF Pro Championships in the USF Pro 2000 class, he'll go back. He's one of the top drivers in the NASCAR Mexico Series on the oval as well. He runs the Supercopa Touring Car Series, but he's the guy that will leave us and a race here, fly straight back to Mexico, not qualify the car, jump back in his NASCAR stock car and go win races there as well. So not only does he run the open wheel stuff, but also the heavier NASCAR machines too. So a very versatile driver out of Mexico.
And you could tell how good he is by doing that. There was a driver earlier you said that was Xfinity driver that was hoping to get here this weekend, didn't pan out, though.
Yeah, we were hoping to see Caleb Schrader, a young driver who is a top SCCA Spec Racer 4 driver, Formula Enterprises category driver as well. He ran here in the Xfinity race, and I believe finished 7th, a driver out of the Portland area. Caleb Schrader, again, a very talented young kart racer. I've had a chance to watch and call many of his races. They were hoping to try to put something together here to run this weekend. I'm hoping we get a little earlier on it to get him here. We come back next year because I think he would really be a bear in one of our USF 2000 cars. I'm really impressed what he was able to do, Bobby, in that Xfinity race here, because that's a guy that doesn't get he runs Spec Racer 4, which is a great class within the SCCA, but to be able to do what he did in that Xfinity race, I think was tremendous.
It was really cool to see, and again, famous, we talked about all day, famous racing families, right? The Schraders, totally related to Ken Schrader, I believe it's his grandfather, and so just to see the tie-in there is great, but you're right, I love to see these guys make the move from either stock cars to open wheel or vice versa. But the guys that can do both really well are the ones that make the names for themselves, and you start seeing a lot of wins like you were talking about.
Indeed, watching out front, Kiko Porto trying to get the job done here. Laps winding down. I believe 5 laps remaining. He has stretched that lead out a little bit, I believe. What's it up to now? Yeah, about a second now. It was down to about 0.6 of a second at one point. Not that bad, too bad now as they work their way again all the way up here into turn number 1. Kiko Porto, last time by, lap number 26 in the books here. We'll see as they update. Still about a second. Both drivers turning 109.8s last time by, but that 0.6 of a second is gapped a little bit. Maybe the better battle still is that one for P5 as Salvador de Alba continues to put the pressure on Lucas St. Jean. And the veteran de Alba, again, trying to keep the pressure up to see if they can't force an issue. And in fact, they're all kind of running together here as well. St. Jean, de Alba, Pizzi, missing only back by 0.8, as is de Orlando. They're all kind of right there. Fast lap still belongs to Kiko Porto, though, 109.5. And I think that's key, kind of searching back through. Pizzi down to a 109.7. Oh, Michael D'Orlando, 109.574. No, a 515. Kiko Porto needs that bonus point to keep his dream alive of potentially stealing this championship away from Miles Rowe. And again, we can't say that it's over because all it takes is a couple of opening lap wrecks, and you're like a Johnson Dzelski where you're finishing the tail of the field. 19th place in points is only 2 points. So indeed, the least that Rowe could get, a couple incidents in race 2 and 3, he could only log 4 more points. Kiko Porto comes in and gets a couple of wins at 30, 31, 32 points, and all of a sudden,
this championship is much closer than it was when we started the day.
It's not over. And that's why I think it's crucial here for Miles Rowe to come do the best he can to get some crucial points, right? Log the points you can. Take 25 points. Stack them on top of the total he had coming in of 333. There's a number he needs to get to that Kiko Porto can't get to. That's the key, right? Kiko Porto comes in at 275. The best he can do is 374. So 99 points all told, 33 per race. So 374. Rowe comes in with 373. If he gets to 374 with more wins, he's fine. So literally he needs 41 points on the weekend, essentially, to lock down the championship. 25 right now would be a great way to start. He'd only need, 19 points over the next couple of races. So that's the idea of taking the 25 now. Even though you're getting closer, could potentially challenge. Be smart, tuck back in. Here's the battle here. De Alba, again, close, coming into turn number 9.
Right on the gearbox. He has closed that gap down. It's got to be easily under a half second, if not less.
We'll have a look when they come around. 2 laps remaining, top 4, all spread out. De Alba always has that trouble getting back on the power at a 12. And again, the gap coming across the line about 0.4 of a second. Both drivers did 110.3s. So again, De Alba, when you're behind a driver at this racetrack, it's so hard to turn better laps because, again, you lose all that aero coming through the long sweeping corners of 4 and 5. Same thing coming through 11 and 12. You just don't have that chance to keep closing up. You can see how close he gets, Bobby, coming down the back straightaway. Just not quite close enough. And it's not like it's a hard braking corner where you can go deep on somebody. It's momentum. You got to stuff it in there and hope you get through 9, 10, and 11.
Yep, and you can lose all the momentum if you don't. And then at that point, your race in trying to catch up is pretty much over at that point.
White flag will fly this next time by. 28 laps in the books. And as they come out onto the front straightaway, white flag for Kiko Porto, doing everything he can. The Brazilian trying to hold him back. Miles Rowe, as close as he has been, I believe. 0.8 was the gap. I think it's going to be even less than that as they come across the line. 0.813 last time by to put lap number 29 in the books as they work their way through the Festival Corner. How about 0.6? He's knocked off another 0.2 of a second. And again, the win won't give him that much more. He'll need 19 points over 2 races to cap off the day on Saturday and Sunday if Kiko Porto comes home with the victory. But again, for Kiko, his first win on the season. He had won last year, his second year here in USF Pro 2000. He won last year, but had to wait all the way to the Circuit of the Americas last weekend to get his first win of 2023. And an opportunity for him to put another one in the books. He could win all 3 races this weekend. Although Michael D'Orlando could have something to say about that, starting back up front. Again, I think he'll be on pole for all 3 races, as these drivers not going faster than they did in qualifying. So here they come down the back straight through turn number 10 and 11 and 12. He got the victory in the opening race, the doubleheader at the Circuit of the Americas. And once again, the Brazilian flag will be represented on the top of the podium in USF Pro 2000. Down the front straightaway, twin checkers are out. Race 1 of the tripleheader in USF Pro 2000 goes to Kiko Porto. D-Force Racing wins again. Miles Rowe coming home in second. And indeed, as Aaron likens the stylings of the driver the flagman out of St. Louis, throwing the double checker for Porto. It's 1 and 3 for D-Force Racing. Kiko Porto, P1. Bajoy Garg, his best finish on the season. He'll go to third. Jace Denmark in fourth as Pabst Racing second, fourth, and eighth with Jordan Missig. Jace Denmark fourth, Lucas St. Jean able to hold back the race-long battle between he and Salvador de Alba. Francesco Pizzi in seventh. Jordan Missig, Michael D'Orlando, Avery Towns finish off the top 10 as we had chaos to start the race in the opening corners. Here is the unofficial results. Incorrect with Avery Towns on top. He's actually 10th. Porto, Rowe, Garg, Denmark, and St. John. Avery Towns finishing in the 10th spot. Flipped those around a little bit, but nonetheless a great run for Avery Towns. Only his second weekend driving here in the USF Pro 2000 category. Started the season in USF 2000 and has really settled in nicely to the pro car. I think he'll be strong in 2024. But again, let's see, where do we end up on fast time? 109.51 for Porto. D'Orlando, 109.57. So indeed, fast lap of the race goes to Kiko Porto, most laps led. 32 points for Porto, 25 points for Rowe, a 7-point swing, unofficially 51 points. The gap between first and second, only 66 points up for grabs for Kiko Porto. Again, we said Miles Rowe needs to get to 374 points. He'll add another 24. He needs 19 points, as we said. So big positioning there for Miles Rowe. But here comes the driver who's got his second win of the season. The Brazilian fans will be happy. Kiko Porto, not only will he wrap up his USF Pro 2000 career here this weekend in Portland, he'll be back in an Indy Next car just next weekend at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, racing for Cape Motorsports. So he's already kind of making that move, testing the waters in Indy Next. He's going to be a driver to watch next year. Could be the next Brazilian star. And indeed, he has won here in Portland. Happy with that. Probably knew coming in that the championship pretty much out of reach, but the best bet you could do is come in and put on a show and win a couple of races.
Fantastic drive there.
Agreed.
Absolutely fantastic drive.
Textbook.
That celebration, by the way, Christ.
You like that?
Over Rio, but I've also seen another Brazilian do that. Tony Kanaan did that.
I love it. And there's the celebration for the D-Force crew all coming in. There's Nicholas Giaffoni, USF Juniors champion here, fellow Brazilian driver getting a hug there. Here comes Ernesto Martinez as well. He's the E in D-Force. Great job there for, again, Kiko Porto. Miles Rowe, though, another step forward to winning a championship here in USF Pro 2000. Bajoy Garg, 2 D-Force drivers on the podium. Again, we'll make the move down to victory lane. We will not be crowning the champion yet today. Could be tomorrow for Miles Rowe, although a crucial haul of 25 points. He needs 19 points over the next 2 races. So indeed, if he finishes on the podium tomorrow, it's a done deal. He can finish 4th, and nobody can beat him. It all depends, again, on what Kiko Porto does. If Kiko Porto doesn't win, he can finish further back, right? So indeed, it's all going to kind of play down into what the other drivers do. But for Miles Rowe to take the control top 4 finish gives him the championship tomorrow afternoon. Teams get working their way back to victory lane. We'll finish up with weighing all our drivers here on pit lane. We'll walk them over to victory lane, and we'll cap off the day with celebrations for a Brazilian win for Kiko Porto. Again, won at COTA as well, his second win of the season. Very happy here for the young driver from D-Force Racing, ready to make his move into the Indy Next Series, following in the footsteps of so many drivers that we have developed here in the USF Pro Championships, the series formerly known as the Road to Indy. Again, a vast majority of the field in the Indy Next Series here this weekend, all coming through our program, whether USF 2000 or USF Pro 2000. I want to say 15 of the 17 drivers, 15 of the 18, all coming through, maybe even 16 of the 18. But it's time to go to victory lane, guys. We're ready to rock and roll. Stay with us, folks, on the live broadcast. Don't go anywhere. We'll run a couple of quick commercials. We'll come back with victory lane celebrations. As we get set to cap off this year's 2023 season of the USF Pro Championships by Cooper Tires here at Portland International Raceway, there have been so many great stories all year long. We've been covering them in The Climb, our mini documentary series that we've had from each stop on the series. A brand new one coming out tomorrow, Saturday, where we cover the Circuit of the Americas, where both USF Juniors and USF Pro 2000 went head-to-head. This one a lot about USF Juniors. Nicholas Giaffoni scoring the championship for D-Force Racing, a huge title for that Brazilian who will send him to USF 2000 in 2024. Make sure to tune in. Again, comes out tomorrow, a brand new episode of The Climb, and you can watch all the other episodes as well on the app or on our YouTube channel.
We're like any normal family. We just get shorter wait times because we buy and book online at discounttire.com.
So easy.
Which gives us more time for things like...
Come on, Mom.
It's ready.
Wow. Are you sure it's ready?
Oh, it's ready. And it's all thanks to Kyle. Thank you. Get 30% shorter average wait time when you buy and book online at discounttire.com.
Let's get you taken care of.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Your SUV is a multi-purpose tool, like a corkscrew fish scaler. And that means your tires should be multi-purpose too. Like these Cooper rugged Treks. They're tough, but also run smooth as butter. And with dual sidewalls, it's like having a multi-tool that can look like a completely different multi-tool. Don't take that idea, by the way. I'm gonna patent it. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Lane to get things underway. Race number 2 of the 6 we've got in the USF Pro Championships here this weekend. We got 2 races for each series. Again, 2 more tomorrow afternoon, 2 on Sunday afternoon as well. But time to crown the winner of our first of 3 VP Racing Fuels Grand Prix of Portland events here at USF Pro 2000. Got a couple of our guys from Cooper Tires going to give us a hand passing out the hardware. Finishing in third, what a great run, folks, for D-Force Racing. Put your hands together for Bajoy Garg. P3, great drive for Bajoy to bring him his 3rd place trophy. Dakota Cantor, again, one of our guys from Cooper Tires helping us out here. Dakota, thank you. Hop up on top of the podium with him. Let's get a shot. Bajoy Garg, great run to come home P3. Solid drive, putting down the laps for sure. Finishing in 2nd, almost done, but finishing in 2nd spot from Pabst Racing, Miles Rowe coming home P2. Needs 19 points over 2 races to cap off the championship. Miles Rowe, let's bring Brian Winnery in with the 2nd place trophy. Miles, of course, strong season, another podium run here. Only 1 finish on the season outside the top 10 for Miles Rowe, and that's why he is fighting for a championship on Saturday and Sunday. Could get it done tomorrow with a top 4 finish. Driver's still fighting, though, going to the very end. You don't want to give up. He won his first race of the season at COTA last week. Another victory here. D-Force Racing 1st and 3rd. Put your hands together for my winner today, Kiko Porto. Kiko, on a roll right now. You win in Austin, Texas. You win here as well. Give me your thoughts on that race. The opening lap, the opening corners were pretty crazy.
Wow, yeah, on the start, I just saw like a bunch of cars going straight. Was kind of confusing, but the team helped me to try to understand what is going on. But yeah, man, I mean, Miles put me in this situation that I needed to win races now. And, right. You know, so I'm trying to extract the maximum as possible. He did a great job finishing 2nd. Also, this managed a lot of points for him, the championship, but it's not over yet. So I'm going to fight with everything that I have.
Who do you want to thank today?
For sure, D-Force Racing. I mean, this is my last weekend with them. So it's such a special moment after 6 years together. So let's finish the right way, man.
Congratulations. Get up on top of the podium. 6 years with D-Force, as I said, folks. He said, amazing. Let's bring that 1st place trophy in. Jake Callis has got the trophy here for Kiko Porto coming off the victory at the Circuit of the Americas, as I had said. Again, capping off his time with D-Force Racing. He's done so much for this operation. Won the USF 2000 championship, as we know, a couple of years ago, winning races last year in Pro. He's on a run here now as well. essentially got himself in the position where he's going to be the runner-up in the championship unless things happen. Like he said, it ain't over till it's over. There's still 2 races to go in this program. Everybody digging to try to do whatever they can to scrap the points. Big day, as we know, for Miles Rowe, though, came in with a 58-point lead. That's now down to 51, but he still hauled up 25 crucial points. He only needs to get to 374 and will be unattainable although Kiko can get to 374 with the race wins, 5 on total. Miles Rowe would win that tiebreaker. So 19 points is what he needs to cap things off. Kiko Porter's going to keep digging. But how about Bajoy Garg, folks, on the podium here, P3. What a drive as well. Putting down great laps, was able to pull away from Jace Denmark. D-Force Racing putting 2 drivers on the podium. And what a great way to start this weekend off. 3 days of wheel-to-wheel action in the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires. 2 races today. We got an interesting weekend. We're all going to sleep in tomorrow, I think, because we don't start until the afternoon. We got a couple afternoon races. Miles is like 100% sleeping in. We have races, of course, tomorrow afternoon, and then, of course, after the NTT IndyCar Series Grand Prix of Portland on Sunday. So, yeah, we're racing afterwards. So we got a kind of a relaxed morning. We're going to enjoy watching the IndyCar race and the Indy Next race, and we'll get our drivers back on the racetrack to cap off the 2023 season. Again, we're going to do this 4 more times, as I said, to cap things off. But what a season it's been, starting, of course, at St. Petersburg, rolling through road courses, street circuits, oval racing as well. And we'll cap off the season here, again, on Sunday in the Pacific Northwest. A big victory, second on the season for Kiko Porto, Miles Rowe. Crucial points here for second, but Bajoy Garg in third. Gentlemen, grab those champagnes. Time to grip it and rip it. Celebration time for USF Pro 2000. Big victory for Kiko Porto. It's not over in the championship. Miles Rowe needs 19 points over 2 days to see if he wins the title and goes to Indy next. We'll find out what happens on Saturday. We'll see you back here again if you're following live and watching on the YouTube channel or on the USF Pro Championships app. Thank you so much for being part of the action today. On behalf of Anderson Promotions and Cooper Tires, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.